I made a forum post.
You did too. You did
It
actually.
was I fix EG. That was the thread. I said minus Stewie, minus Rush, plus JKS, plus Azure. And I saw SPUNJ, you also added the wonderful combination into that with the Cirque.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're getting somewhere, man.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets, guaranteed.
Hey buddy, let me show you how to fix that. Bitskins.com. Buy and sell skins instantly. Deposit and withdraw funds instantly with crypto or directly to your Visa card. Bitskins.com. The best skin marketplace.
Hello. Is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your smile. I was going to go a bit further with Lionel Richie, but if you guys want to listen to the big man himself from the album Can't Slow Down, released in 1983, I would recommend using YouTube. A banger of a song, and Prof's been enjoying it all day. I've been practicing my karaoke. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans around the globe, welcome to HLTV Confirmed Season 6, Episode 13. This is the Regional Major Rankings Special, brought to you in conjunction with our wonderful sponsors, Xtrfy, making your gaming setup be extra fly. Xtrfy.com. Mice, keyboards, pads, headsets, all that jazz. Bitskins, buy and sell CSGO skins and items. And N1Bet. That's N1Bet.com. Gamble responsibly. If you want to find out all of our audio-only options here for the podcast, maybe you want to listen on the go, in your car, on the bus, whatever. Anchor.fm/HLTV. They have Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you've got Google Podcasts, and many, many more. Check out all those goodies if you're interested. Now, tonight, we do not have Lucas here producing. We have Dimitri here producing. So I want everybody to be on their best behavior in the chat, because if I have to put out any sanctions, there's going to be a lot of upset people here, all right? So you guys need to be nice. I don't want to be fucking coming at you motherfuckers in chat tonight. I want to be nice to everybody, all right? We have joining us, Prof, live from a floor just below me. Prof, how far down are you?
I think I'm like, you're on 6th, right?
Yes.
I'm on 2nd, so yeah, 4 floors down. I think this is the difference in the pay grade that we have right now. I think that's really just on point.
Exactly the same rooms.
Yeah, the room looks the same.
I just have
looks like we're kind of cloned in some like metaverse situation right now. But yeah, it's good. It's a good vibe right here in Bucharest.
All right, good that you're enjoying yourself now, Striker. You're not here in Bucharest at all. You're at home.
Nope.
How's home going right now?
Home is about to be different in about a month's time, so enjoying it while I can.
The temporary home, but it's good to have the regular panel here, and of course we have a guest for this evening. And we won't have a hot seat going on, but no, thank you for joining us tonight. And just to give people a little bit of introduction, maybe they're not too familiar. You like to write things. You wrote an opinion piece, and I saw some people on Reddit. They thought it was a bit of a sensationalized headline, mate. What do you have to say in response to that?
I mean, I don't know. I think an opinion piece speaks for itself, in that it can't be a sensationalist headline when it's literally asking, are they possibly in trouble? I feel like that's a relatively simple topic right there.
Yeah.
I have to say the headline was a bit longer and less sensational, and
That
then
is
I was
true.
like, no, please, just like, why do you need all of these words here? Just cut that out. Leave this part. This part is sick. And he did that. So if anyone says it's a sensational headline, come at me. Come
I
at
could
me.
have
That's
just
right,
said
blame Prof.
vitality question mark, really, couldn't it?
Vitality, yeah.
Opinion,
Or
opinion, vitality question mark.
there is also that old article that we did, who G-bots. I think who vitality might be as equally relevant right now. Well, I think
That
they're
just
on the
sounds
same level
toxic.
at G-bots in 2016.
Are we talking G strings, G bot? What's it? What?
G-Bots was like a Spanish team at the time.
With
Oh,
Mixo.
okay.
Love
Don't
it.
get me started on the Spanish stuff at the moment, guys. There's
Or
been
the
this whole
G-Strings.
drama going on with Twitch rivals. We've had Team Spain taking on Team USA in Rust, and it looks like the Team Spain are having a bit of a tantrum. They don't want to play the final. So XQC is a little bit upset now.
What
So
the fuck? How
look,
do you
you
even know
guys got to
this?
be keeping up with this shit. If you're not keeping
Tell
up
me,
with this shit,
look, you have to put out your opinion right now on the drama. Put
I
it
haven't
out
been keeping
right
up with
now.
enough. I've been working.
Put it out. Just
all
you have
I
to
know-
pick a side, man.
I'm gonna go with Team USA here because they stayed up all night. They've been grinding all night. They haven't been having any tantrums. And from what I can tell, there's been some tantrums had. And someone who knows a lot about tantrums, I can tell you that I think that Team USA are probably in the right. Now, no, as well, I just want to get this out of the way first, and we can plug this again at the end. But we're borrowing you from Server Time, the podcast with Maui and Josh, right? Is that correct?
That's right.
Where do
We
people
haven't
go
done
if they
one in
want
a
to
little
find that?
while.
You haven't done
You
it
can
in
go
a
to
while.
Maui Snake's channel. We haven't done one in a little while, but I think we're actually recording one tomorrow.
Okay, good. I was going to say, if
Coming
Maui
back.
thinks he's getting too big for his boots these days and he's leaving everybody behind, we can actually, he's in the 5-star hotel. So maybe he's getting a bit big in his boots. So, all right, guys, let's get the show underway. Dimitri, roll the bumper. Let's get into the recent news. We're back and we're into the recent news. So, everybody, viewers at home, the people here, well, the 3 of us, the 4 of us, the 5 of us, I suppose, depending on how one you want to count. Numbers are
Some
pretty
would say
straightforward.
that we are.
We are
people,
what?
Maybe.
We are people. Yeah, some would say that. All right, now look, we're going to bang through the recent news here quickly because this is going to be a lot more focused around the regional major ranking events that we've had going on and will have going on in the coming week. But we do have some news that we need to get through. We didn't have a show after the finals for EPL, and it does feel like EPL was a lifetime ago. But we need to talk about the FaZe versus ENTS final. Because we've gone straight into the Americas RMR and now the Asian RMR and then the EU RMR is kicking off tomorrow. So let's have, first of all, I can see everybody. Let's have a show of hands if anybody even remembers anything about the FaZe versus ENTS final.
I mean, I watched it yesterday because I was away during the whole playoffs.
Okay.
So I remember a little bit.
Well, all right, let's do this because if you've viewed it in most recent history, just off the top of your head here, what are the biggest takeaways for you? Not like what sticks in your mind from what you watched, and then we can work backwards here because it does feel like a long time ago, even though it was only less than a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, I'm really enjoying watching FaZe as a whole. I think Brokey's starting to remind me sort of like Device in his prime almost, in just the way that he like takes duels and is sort of, he's a little bit more aggressive, I think, in certain situations. But in general, I think the way he provides consistency to this team reminds me a lot of the way Device would to Astralis of old. So I am really enjoying watching FaZe because they're sort of working off of that. And then obviously you have like Rops and Twist who are adding to that. And yeah, I think FaZe is definitely, just in general, they're my favorite team to watch right now because they take over rounds individually as well. And I also like that Rain is kind of disproving everybody who was calling for him to be cut as soon as JKS had that performance in Katowice.
Yeah, it's good fun, right? It's good when it comes back to bite the forums in the arse here. But I think some of the takeaways here, right? There's been a conversation about Brokey in this year and his level of performance. Who ended up getting? I know that the DHL one that was done over there for Pro League, I think it ended up going to Spinks, which I think if it was anybody who had some say on who should have probably won that MVP overall. Where do we? It was going to Rops, right? Rops was the one that got it from the HLTV side of things. Yeah, that would have made a bit more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fair, it was reasonably close between the two. Like, it basically was because like neither of them were particularly amazing during that final. Rob's kind of like stepped up later on, but Spinks was obviously missing quite a lot, so that's kind of like what cost him the MVP in the end. Because if it would have been him keeping up the performance that he had up to that point, I think he would have gotten it. Or even if he had maybe like a couple of really good maps, in the final, he probably would have still gotten it. So kind of like lost out on that one.
Now, this is the thing. When was the show that we did before this one with Roy? This was before the playoffs kicked off, right? And Striker, you weren't with us. So this is the first time Striker's back as well. So before the playoffs, we did the bracket, and we were pretty much wrong out the gates here, right? Because Liquid ended up taking down Heroic in what was actually a very good win. And then NIP over Liquid, and we ended up with NIP versus ENTS, which I think we were expecting Heroic versus ENTS, and then Heroic making it to the final. On the other side of the bracket, I don't know if there were too many crazy upsets. FURIA played some good CS. I think what we expected out of the likes of like Movistar Riders, for example, out of Fnatic, for example. The Entropic versus Astralis game was a bit more of a 50-50. Na'Vi versus FaZe, we weren't sure what to expect right there, but then we end up getting FaZe picking this up in the final. So let's just focus really in on that final, because there's probably a lot of interesting things in that bracket, but if we can't even really remember when in the best of 5 final, we're going to have a hard time remembering what happened in the rest of the nonsense. But the key takeaway for me in that was the fact that FaZe floated Vertigo in the best of 5.
Oh, yeah.
And that right there was like the massive big dick maneuver from Carrigan, right? Because as soon as I saw that happen, I was like, holy shit. Like, he's put Snappy in a position where Snappy either calls the bluff and goes, well, if you're going to leave this open, we're going to punish you, or float it to the end and call the bluff and go, well, fuck you. Like, we don't want anything to do with that. We're happy just to leave. And it would have worked well either way for FaZe, right? Obviously, it worked out in the way that they were able to pick up that first map. I say it would have worked well either way. I guess if they lost Vertigo and then they lost it in a really bad fashion, that would have been a terrible way to kick off the best of 5 final. But they ended up winning that map. And I thought that was pretty shocking, Prof. What did you think about this Carrigan little mind game with the map?
Well, it's classic Carrigan, always pulling out some aces up his sleeve, even if it's a short sleeve. There's always something there. I mean, it just shows like where FaZe are right now, that they can play everything essentially, which is pretty amazing.
Without prep too, like he did it like the day before. He said it to the team, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's also that it's still a best of 5. So even if you lose one map, it's not the end of the world, right? That is also a good time to float a map that you don't really play, and especially against an underdog like ENTS, right? So yeah, it's a classic Kerrigan maneuver. But I thought ENTS played overall pretty well, like that for grand final, playing against FaZe, who now are the #1 team in the world according to the only relevant ranking in the world, HLTV, right? So
unbiased opinion, of course.
Yeah, I mean, maybe HLTV show, maybe not. Who knows?
We can change your lower third soon.
There we go.
I just want to quickly jump in here for a second, because people might hear Prof and my audio lagging, and I don't want, first of all, Dimitri to think that he's doing something wrong, and the viewers at home just to understand that Prof and I are on the same network, and I am quite the packet loss specialist on TeamSpeak.
I'm pretty sure it's the CPU overload in my top right, so that's probably
no. You and I both getting packet loss right now. Don't stress. Okay. You're all good. It's quite literally packet loss on the network that we have.
I didn't notice anything, so I think you guys are fine.
Well, anyway, it's out there now. Everybody knows that it's happening. So no one's in the dark anymore. You said ENTS were pretty legit. No, you obviously watched this more recently than us. What do you think of that performance? Do you think they're in the big boys club now, or do you think they still have a bit more convincing?
I think they still have to be truly tested. I still really liked what I saw from them in the grand final of VPL, but I think this generally happens with like most teams. Once they make it into the big leagues, teams will start anti-stratting them heavily now. So I think it's really hard to really say where they're at until we see them at probably like deep into the playoffs with like 1 or 2 more events at least. Snappy kind of impressed me throughout that. Obviously, there's also Spinks and Hades and have been playing well, but I think Snappy in general, the way he's sort of playing for that team and taking on some of the more aggressive roles, I actually really liked watching him, especially on Vertigo. He was kind of just running up ramp and sort of playing like the Yakinder style entry roles, which I really liked. Yeah, I think in general, and I would say are definitely, I think they deserve the ranking they're at right now. But I'm not sure just how well they're going to maintain it going forward and at least deeper into tournaments as we see them appear more often.
Where are they right now in the ranking? They're breaking into the top 10,
Like
haven't they?
7,
Sixth right now.
7,
Yeah,
something
they're-
like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty high up.
Six
It's like,
now.
This is
yeah,
their highest they've ever been.
and probably
I
for
mean, with
most of
this
the
core,
players
at
in that
least.
team as well, right? Like, I would say almost definitely so for like
And I'd say
Hades.
literally everybody, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think Snappy's been this high either.
What
Yeah.
team would he have even been that high with?
Yeah,
If,
that's what I'm saying. Like, it would have been like heroic at times when they were like 15 to 20, you know, stuff like that. So he's definitely none of these people have been this high in the ranking before.
It seems pretty well rounded though, the squad in general, right? Like I think now that Hades was online, especially for the group stage, and then he was showing up in the final as well here, he was one of the factors that I wanted to see mature a little bit more on the server. And I think we're starting to get that impact out of him. And I think that they all have the potential to be hot and cold, but there's also the team where I don't expect the same 3 or 2 players to pop off every single game. Like I feel like they can get by across the board. Like it can be a good series by a couple of them, and that couple of them can almost change every time. Now, look, Spinks towards the last 2 maps of the series did drop off a little bit right there, but I think that's only going to come with time and experience, right? Because as we just mentioned, this is the highest in the ranking they've been. So, and also this is a LAN final. I know that it's a bit more of a studio environment, but they're still quite young in this environment, right? So to expect a team like this that are relatively inexperienced in this type of environment to hit the ground running, I think that's an unfair expectation to have. So yeah, in general, I think it's good to sing the praises for both of these international teams, and FaZe are number 1 now. Now, Striker, if I have to read one more fucking guy telling me it's time to pay up, how have I fucked it up so bad that people don't understand the bet?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this will keep them up there for a while because basically, like, unless they fuck up the major, like they're gonna stay there. Like, let's say they even let's say they get top 4 at the major, you know, they're going to stay there until the end of the player break, essentially. Like, it's going to last.
They might see you across the line. You never know. What if they bomb out after the major, for example,
they could bomb out at the RMR. You know, it's possible in this group that they are in. Like, it's not out of the world of possibilities, you know, but it would have sucked. Obviously, that would have been would have been a shitty way to go about it, you know, going into the major with a storyline that FaZe isn't there. But, you know, it's not impossible. I mean, look, just my kind of 2 cents, not whatever.
Well, I'll take 5. I'll take 2. I'll take 3 cents as you got, mate.
He's all in 5 cents are coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I will say that it did hurt Ents that they couldn't really play Nuke either, because that's like a map that they've really made their own. I think you could tell especially from the series that they play against NIP. Like, they played with NIP. They just, you know, pulled them across the map, like left and right. Like, NIP had no idea what to do with them because they constantly had pressure in yard, but then they switched it up, you know, with a quick inside play and whatever. And like, the NIP just had nothing. They couldn't do anything about it. And so, like, not having that map going into it, I think that did really play with Ents' minds. I do think that it was a bit of an unnecessary risk from Kerrigan, because I feel like if Snappy would have been, I'm not going to say smarter, but if he maybe thought it through a bit more and he left it for the 5th map and we got there, that would have been an entirely different situation. You know, FaZe are suddenly in a map 5 where they're up against the ropes. It's 2-2 and Ents have the upper hand, you know, and it's like the pressure is at a different level, you know, for FaZe having to play a map that they hadn't played for like a year or whatever it was, you know. So, like, it would have been a bit of a different situation, and you know, if you win that Vertigo, then maybe things would have been different. But still, like, I don't think it necessarily made a lot of difference in the end. Like, I think FaZe would have won that final in the 5th map anyway.
Yeah, and this is going to be the second notch for them in the Intel Grand Slam belt, right? If we wanted to carry that story through. So back-to-back events. The first one, obviously, Katowice comes with a bit of a caveat. This one is more of a studio land, but it's still big wins, and they had to take down players and Na'Vi on the run. So we all know that there's a bit of a situation going on in that part of the world still, right? The question is, at this point, is that what we keep waffling on about every single time we're talking about teams from the CIS region in Russia? Right? I'm not trying to be insensitive.
Yes, probably.
Yeah. That's the thing. I'm not trying to be insensitive or a dick about it here. It's just like that we have this now all the time. So when they're competing, it's like we know that it's not a full strength team because part of their minds for all of them are going to be somewhere else, and that right there is going to suck for a period of time. Who knows? It's the classic "how long is a piece of string" type situation with that. But as far as FaZe go, they're looking great. Like they're looking extremely well rounded as a team here. Even when Brokey wasn't necessarily having the best performances, you could see the depth of those riflers. Carrigan's winning clutches to win out maps on Mirage.
Rain's almost dropping 30.
Yeah. I think that's the thing with Rain, right? Like it was almost similar to like Carrigan in the sense that they can I would obviously put a bit more stock in Rain's individual ability here, and I don't think Carrigan would feel in disrespect with that statement. But like Carrigan can have a game where he drops like 25 and have the impact, and then you're getting Rain doing that as well here. But when Rain does it, it just looks like the fucking Terminators in the server.
Yeah, it's not even
It's
Yeah.
so
fair.
scary, man.
Not
Yeah,
fair
it's
with that.
almost like he's the X factor of the team now because everybody else is so consistent and we kind of like know what to expect from everybody. But Rain is the guy who, like, of course, he's not going to pull these out all the time. But when he does, like, what do you even do when you have the entry? Like one of the guys who's going to be in front just killing everybody. Like, it's impossible to beat that team when they have a twist or ops, behind or brokey that's just going to finish off the rounds. Like, it's impossible to play against this team. It feels like it's really difficult. And I think,
yeah, sorry.
yeah, the Navi series I think is the one that sold me just because we saw Navi so strong during the group stage, and then even leading up to that match, I thought that it would have been a closer match, but
Yep.
Navi basically, yeah, I mean they kind of fell apart, and from that series I just knew FaZe were gonna win the final no matter who they meet there. Like it was so obvious.
Yeah,
I
that's
just want to say, like, usually it's like your third star that's the X factor. For Rain is clearly the fourth best player on this team right now.
Yep.
It's like very obviously, and then he's your X factor. That feels kind of unfair, right? When he pops off, then it's GG essentially. But yeah, it is how it is. I think I just wanted to give a shout out for FURIA. They also they lost 2 games, both to FaZe at the event essentially, and they finished top 4. So they were pretty good, and that also showed that the RMR that we're going to talk about later, but they're the team alongside IHC that looked most comfortable.
Crazy.
Those are the 2 best teams that we saw these like 5-6 days. So make of that what you want.
Are there any other general takeaways for Pro League guys in terms of teams or the event itself, or for anything along those lines before we move and shift gear into the rest of the recent news?
I mean, just touching on
Go
your
ahead.
studio land point, I think if ENCE were going to make a grand final run somewhere, this is probably the best environment they could have done it in this early, just
Sure.
because it helps them get that experience in before they sort of hit big stage playoff matches as well. So I think that it's the right time for them to have done it.
Good soft entry. They also had late last year, right, with the RMRs. Didn't they make it to the grand final against
IEM
NIP? But this is
IEM
before
full.
Madden was in the team. IEM full.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is like now they have the confidence that they know they can compete against these big names. You go into the RMRs, you carry that with you. Then if they get to the arena stage, it's a whole different beast, right? All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I will say NIP kind of like the typical. Nobody really expects them to go far, and they go to the semis. Obviously, they had to meet Liquid, and instead of Heroic, who knows how it would have went if it was Heroic in that semifinal and Liquid. They're not going to be super well rounded yet. Like they beat Heroic, but that's basically their biggest scalp so far, and we haven't seen that much from them up until now. But still, like NIP are playing their last event with FUZI, and they still make it to the top 4. Pretty like reasonably comfortably as well. So like they just pull these deep runs out of their ass essentially. Like I don't know how they do it. I still don't understand what they're good at to even explain like why they keep going this far all the time despite all the situations that they're in.
I just think it's the statement of, and I forget who I heard say it first, but the fact they have a
Australian rowboat Olympian behind them.
Yes, that's it exactly. Yeah, from Perth. That's the key right there. No, a high floor, right? Like the fact that the base of this team is really strong. And I think that having DJL there now as the coach, obviously with Threat in the background and a Hampus combo, and however they've seemed to have unlocked Res, if they can do that consistently in the future, then it's going to be fantastic. All right, let's jump in to talk about these IEM Dallas teams that were announced. I need to bring this up here so I have it in front of me here. There's going to be qualifiers for this. They've been going down recently for IEM Dallas. Now, mate, Prof, Uli, Mr. Flying DJ, tweeted at you, and I think he corrected you after the last show. You remember?
He put me in line. He put me in line. He did.
What did you get wrong?
Well, it was something about EG.
Yeah, we said that they would just get an invite, right?
When we're at it, we might as well. EG, obviously, they finished last in 3 consecutive Pro League seasons. And as we all know...
2 out of 3. The last 2.
2 out of 3? No, 3 out of 3. The rule is 3 out of 4.
Anyway.
But they did it in 3. They kind of maxed out, right, on points. Points of being last. So essentially, there is that rule in the Louvre agreement, which says that maybe that spot should be a bit contentious. Maybe we should look into this. Maybe we should take away that spot from them. Thankfully, nothing happened. ESL doesn't want to comment on that. Anyone from the Louvre agreement, they don't want to comment on that. EG hasn't commented anything about that. So Thank you for that. Essentially, it's very nice
Well,
of
you're
you
changing topic here.
to obviously not care about the quality of your thing. That's all I'm saying. And then back to that because this ties on to the other thing, which I said, EG are a partner team, so they get invites to pro tour tournaments, which is also like something like IEM Dallas. But I was corrected because if they're not in the top 20 in ESL ranking, they don't get invited. And they're like 22nd, despite being absolutely dog shit. So that also says a lot how bad you need to be to not get invited into ESL events as an ESL partner team.
But fortunately, they're not invited, right?
I
So
was
that-
also, I just want to say, obviously, I was wrong, and I apologize.
No, but here's the key here, because I know you said that nobody wants to comment about it. I'm sure if one of you lovely gentlemen here reached out to Mr. Alexander Inglot, the
I
commissioner,
did.
that is, so you asked him about
Yep.
it. Is
Not
he going to
him
give you a
specifically,
statement?
but the people who kind of like put me through to him.
Okay.
They did not have anything to comment.
No. Oh, no comment.
No,
No
general
updates so far.
My general impression of that clause even being there isn't that if you I think it is if you place last in 3 out of 4
yeah,
seasons.
Yeah,
But
there.
if my general impression of it isn't that you'll automatically be removed or that
of
you're
course not.
the phrasing is that your spot goes up for review or whatever.
Yeah.
But the intention behind it, from my initial reading of the rule back when they put it in, was that if the team isn't really making an effort to like sign players to be competitive and they're kind of just coasting and comfortable just being a partner without actually trying to put up results, then that's sort of what the whole point of that is, to sort of be able to remove that partner from the league.
Mm.
At least for EG this season, they did make substantial changes and tried to sign major
They tried.
champions.
They tried,
It's
yeah.
clearly not working at the moment. But I think in general, I wouldn't see them being removed from this league or
Obviously,
from the
I don't
Uber
think
agreement or
anyone.
whatever, right?
I don't think anyone thinks they would be removed or even should be removed, considering like the
Yes.
circumstances. I think, yeah, as long as they're putting in an effort, it's okay. But also, it requires something. I mean, we talked about this on the show as already like a couple of episodes ago. Like, in my opinion, this is just like bad look for everyone involved, just not going out there and saying something. And I understand like they had the RMR, so maybe they didn't want to, put something out just before this event.
Mm.
But you can also talk about it. We're humans, give us something, say like, okay, we'll need a week to put out we'll do the review, 2
Yeah.
weeks from now. Give us something. Right now it just seems like they don't have a fuck, and that was just a rule put in there to be something to fall back onto and have like an excuse, essentially. And I think obviously they hope that it will never come into play, but it came into play essentially as soon as it could. So kind of unfortunate for them.
Yeah, I think what we discussed last time around, Prof, was like maybe putting teams like this in the conference, so they have to qualify with everybody else, like, or go through at least that extra step, right?
Yep.
Maybe they could put something in there so that if you are outside of a whatever ranking position, or if you have come last in 3 events in a row, for example, then yeah, you have to take that extra step. I don't know how that would work with all the formatting, and that's a conversation for another time here. But we can bring up right now the IEM Dallas teams who have been invited, and who will be taking place either by ESL ranking or by being a partner team. And they are FaZe, Na'Vi, Players, aka Gambit, G2, Heroic, ENTS, NIP, FURIA, Astralis, Vitality, and then we have 6 spots available for closed qualifiers. 2 of those are for Europe, 2 of those are for North America, 1 of those is for South America, and 1 of those is for Oceania. So, it's going to be quite a rich 16-team event here. I think we have a lot of the big names in attendance. The curious one, I think, is going to be Players for a lot of people, if they're even going to be able to make it to the event because of the circumstances at the moment. But looking at a lot of names here, if you get FaZe, and I didn't mention Na'Vi, they're in that same boat as well, right? But if you do get the likes of FaZe, Na'Vi, G2, I think with the way FURIA are looking at the moment as well, that the Vitality, if they can be on the up and up, there's probably a lot of exciting things around IEM Dallas. But any key takeaways here that anyone wants to talk about? Because we can probably breeze past this one. We're going to talk about a lot of these teams coming up.
I would say the only one, while we are bashing ESL for their ranking, is the Renegade situation, that they didn't even get invited to the closed qualifier. I think that is
Talk me through
a
this.
fucking atrocity. Basically, the Renegades, because they haven't been playing in Australia for a while, and they had to withdraw from like the Challenger playoffs, I think, or something like that. They didn't get any points in Australia, and obviously because they didn't place anywhere in Pro League or like anywhere highly anyway, then they didn't get any points from that while they were in Europe. And basically, even though they had dominated the region for whatever 2 years straight, they haven't gotten invited to the close qualifier because they just don't have any points in the ESL ranking. So instead, there was like LFO and Order, I think, who got the close qualifier invites, and then 2 more spots are for open qualifiers, I think. And then there's 1 spot, at IEM Dallas from the close qualifier. So basically, like that is a really big fuck up, I think, and something that the ranking doesn't necessarily take into consideration, that teams who do get the opportunity to play in Europe but don't necessarily compete particularly well there to earn those points from like the biggest events that are played there, and they obviously don't even get points from like some of the smaller events. Those are just not being considered whatsoever. So that's just something that that costs Renegades like a direct spot at the close qualifier.
Yeah, they're going home now to play the open qualifier. They're going to play the open qualifier one day after the land from this event. Funnily enough, it's just one of these things where you need to have like an actual human being in charge of some of these things and actually use your eyes, use your brain, and see like this doesn't make sense. Everyone knows that this doesn't make sense. Like these teams, LFO and Order, have like 15 points or 17 points on the ranking and when the top one team has 2,500 points, like these are relevant numbers of points. And we have Renegades who won 17 events in a row in Oceania, and you're like, they don't have any points, man, so we can't invite them.
They're not even on the ranking page.
They're not even ranked.
Yeah, because they have 0 points, they're just not ranked.
So it's ridiculous. Just like I don't know what to say. What it is.
I guess this is just the case of the system obviously being developed so it incentivizes teams to play the ESL events, right?
Yeah,
this
but
you're right.
Because, like, they're not playing in the region,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They play
I'm not saying
outside of
it's
the
an
region,
excuse.
yeah.
I'm giving the reason as to why, right? This has slipped through, and Prof's bang on.
You're
like
sitting on a PGL chair and shilling for ESL.
I'm just giving an alternative view here. I'm just like people don't understand like why these systems are put in place, right? ESL puts the system in place for a reason. They obviously want to incentivize people to play their tournaments
95% of the time, but then you see stuff like this, and like someone still needs to say like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. They send it to the guy that makes the graphics. They send it to the guy that makes the social media. It goes through like 10 hands, and no one says like, oh, Renegades isn't here. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To me, it reminds me of like when Bad News Bears got a direct invite to, I think, the play-in of Cologne last year or something, because they won a bunch of cash cups. It's a similar situation in the sense that the way the ESL World Ranking was set up was that it was set to award like X number of teams would get you'd get more points if there's X number of teams playing in a certain event in North America. And they changed that after Cologne because they realized it was over distributing points. This just seems almost like the inverse scenario of that, where Renegades haven't gotten any of those.
That's what you're saying.
But my only other point for Dallas is that there's no North American team directly invited to this event that's in North America, which is actually tragic, unless you count Furia. But I mean, they're obviously Brazilians. There's no home team to cheer for.
Wait, Liquid isn't going?
They're not directly invited. They have to qualify. Complexity, Liquid, both are on the close qualifier invite list.
Is EG in the close qualifier?
Like
they
North American close
EG
qualifier.
Liquid, Complexity, Guts, and then EG. Yeah, and then four people from open qualifiers.
Well, they should qualify, and that we would assume they should qualify considering the level of opponents they have right there. But I guess this is like if we still had IEM Sydney, for example, and Renegades weren't automatically invited there, right? The home team wouldn't even have an opportunity, or would have to qualify for the opportunity.
They have an NA qualifier, so someone's going to make it. Right?
2 slots as well.
Yes.
So
unless if there's like 4 Brazilian teams that go to the open qualifier and take all of the slots, possible.
I mean, Gotland is one of them, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's have a little bit of a look here at the next piece. Well, it's actually not a next piece of news. This is Prof's new favorite segment. It's the N1 moment. Either the nice one or the number 1 moment. Let's find out, Prof. Have we gone with a nice moment or the number 1 moment of the last week?
It is nice as F, essentially. We're gonna roll a video, I think.
Oh,
and
okay.
It was the nicest moment of the last couple of days for sure. The 9Z winning moment. Amazing run from 0-2 to 5-2 essentially at the RMR. Being one of the kind of the dark horse teams, at least for people in the know. Started poorly and had a lot of close games, but every time they closed out, it was like a massive celebration there for for the whole squad. It was just nice to see great photos as well. One of the photos of the year for sure for me, with Lucan bleeding
Yeah, which is
literally.
crazy.
Yeah, that's the stuff that this is why we watch CS, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm somebody who can definitely resonate with that feeling in a big way, right? To be able to qualify for a major by beating, opponents who, let's go EG, right, on paper, right there. That's a massive scout for them to take, even though we all know that EG are in the bin right now, and then to come toe to toe with Pain and get it done in the 2-0 fashion from being 0-2 down in the Swiss. They had to win. What was it? 4
best of threes.
Yeah, 5
Yes.
consecutive best of 3s. That's fucking crazy, man. And it felt like they were getting better. Like with each game, it felt a bit more consistent. I was seeing a bit more out of this player and out of that player. Like Lucan felt like he warmed into the event. Like it felt like every game he was kind of like powering up. So that was really fun to watch, and I think you could see all the emotions there. What was it? 2 Argentinians, 2 players from Uruguay, and David from Chile, as well as having Zach, the coach, who's Brazilian, right? So quite a diverse team. So it's not just how we're lumping the rest of these squads through, right? With just the Brazilian squads, this is South American representation and quite diverse. Now, someone in chat was asking why was he bleeding. I think that the celebrations were so hyped that he got hit in the face, right, by one of his mates or something.
I'm pretty sure he got
It looked like he
bit
bit his
himself or
lip.
something.
Oh, he did it
Yeah.
himself?
It looked like he bit like his inside of his lower lip or something like
Oh
that.
shit!
Yeah.
All right, okay. I thought the blood was coming out top here. Never mind. Either way, it's still pretty wild that he's fucking the blood is caught in that photo as well. But it was fucking crazy. I thought I love watching that. It was hype to watch. Even
think
casting them beating EG was fucking hype.
The exciting part for me is that this team actually did this after losing Try, who was their main like star, the one that this team was actually hyped for basically all of last year before he joined 0-0 Nation. So them making it through this after basically changing up their entire roster is really cool. Also, David coming back. He's I talked to this Argentinian Martin, who I used to work with on the coverage team a lot, and he would always hype up David, saying he was really good. So seeing him actually make it through is really sweet. Also, that whole thing where they lit up the monument in Argentina, also very, very cool to see that happen.
I didn't see that. What is that?
There's like
Yeah, go.
It's on Reddit right now,
there's
yeah?
just somebody threw it up on Reddit. There's I don't know where exactly this is, or even if it's real. It's just hard to say.
It is hard to verify this kind of stuff, though, right?
That's the thing. Like I just don't know anybody who would tell me like, okay, this is actually for 9Z. You know?
It's a purple.
They tweeted it out as well. 9Z tweeted it out, saying it
Okay.
was lit up for them.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Buenos
Well, there you go.
Aires, they say.
There you
But
go.
there's
Well,
like oh, never mind. It's all good.
I believe everything I read on the internet these days,
Yeah.
guys. So I'll take it as fucking gospel here. I don't give a fuck. We can go and redact it later. The maximum symbol of the city of Buenos Aires will turn the color from 7 p.m. to honor 9Z. Okay, there you go. I had a little bit of a read. I read the tweet. But yeah, that's really cool. And I think the fact that we're getting to see these type of regions who haven't been represented before, as Prof, you referenced the other day on the desk, is like our World Cup is fantastic. So a good N1 moment brought to you by N1Bet, N1Bet.com, gamble responsibly. There you go. Did I do my advertising well? Ever see that?
I
That's a
think
thumbs
the
up.
paycheck is in your mailbox right now.
As we said, yeah. Nice. Okay. Alrighty. We are going to roll some ads, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get stuck into the RMRs. Be right back.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets, guaranteed.
Hey buddy, let me show you how to fix that. Bitskins.com. Buy and sell skins instantly. Deposit and withdraw funds instantly with crypto or directly to your Visa card. Bitskins.com. The best skin marketplace.
All right, we're going to do a bit of a Uno reverse card here because Prof wants to start off with the Americas, but the Americas is going to be longer. So we're going to start off with the Asian side of things here, ladies and gentlemen.
That's kind of
So let's, because this is easier, we can blow through this. It was fucking 4 teams, 2 days, and every single series was 2-0. So nothing was close. LFO, they get the last minute call up. Ben, he's manning the phones. He answers. He says, the boys are on their fucking way. They get on a plane. They fly on over. They lose to
24
Renegades.
hours.
They lose to Renegades. Then they play against Tai Lu. They lose to Tai Lu. They're done. All right, that's LFO done. Great stuff. Good for showing up. Thank you for trying to get here, but unfortunately didn't really go your way, right? They replaced Linvision, who couldn't make it. Nasser couldn't make it, and Divine Vendetta, who couldn't make it. So they were the 4th. And this is a classic Australian reference that maybe some of you out there remember from a Winter Olympics many years ago. Most of you won't because you're very young. But Stephen Bradbury, check it out. Go check out Stephen Bradbury. I might even see if we can bring up the video come the end of this little conversation. I'll find it when everyone else gets talking. But that was the LFO story. Okay, then let's move into the other opening game. IHC, Mongolian team. You know, they got a bunch of whippersnapper lads over there who most recently, as far as HLTV goes, lost to Tai Lu. They rock up, they get Tai Lu first round, and they fucking give them a hiding. Back to back, Mirage and Ancient just go bang, bang. See you later, alligator. Then you're like, well, okay, you know, maybe this is just the first game on land. It's all good. Tai Lu can come back. No dramas. Well, guess what? Renegades versus IHC, and they get absolutely fucking destroyed. I had to commentate that game, and I was like, what is going on? Prof, you were doing the desk for that, right?
I was doing the desk. I was
What
watching.
were you thinking?
I said I called it 2-0. I was right. Not for the right team though. So IHC played like fucking experts of Counter-Strike. They were like 3 steps ahead, easily in front of Renegades there. Renegades also didn't it felt like they were not on point individually.
Not at all.
Which is kind of what they rely on, right? They want to go for those like some individual plays here and there, just like back themselves, go for a 1v1, get the 1v1, maybe get even 2 kills, you know, and then win easily. That didn't work. Tactically, like IHC outplayed them on Inferno, but also on Mirage. Like
Mirage was hard to watch.
Mirage could have been a 16-0. I'm not even joking. Could have easily been a 16-0, at least a 16-1. It was like these guys are actually good. Like they're actually maybe they're not gods individually. Maybe, you know, they play Dignitas or an Ents, or they play Apex, and they wouldn't beat them consistently. But like they know what they're doing essentially. So that was great. The thing is, they have been playing. They're practicing like European teams. And I think when they say European teams, they think CIS teams, because they're playing like 110 ping. Obviously, that's going to be closer than playing Frankfurt for, you know, a Swedish side. It really felt like a mini CIS side, like super passive, just like waiting out all the utility and then like playing together in the late rounds. And it was really good to see. They're actually pretty good.
I was calling what they were playing like quite basic Counter-Strike, right?
Yeah.
Because it was simple. It was by the book. They weren't doing anything crazy. They didn't need to do anything crazy because Renegades weren't putting up a fight. And one of the things that I could see there with the Renegades guys is I think they thought it was going to come to them easy, right? Like then you could see in the Tai Lu game, there was kind of a shift for them. But I think let's focus in on the IHC boys first. Now, I don't want to put Striker or Note here. I don't want to throw you guys under a bus. Were you able to catch these games? Because if not, it's all good. Like
I watched some of them. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
so
watched the title one and then the part of the Renegades one as well.
with IHC.
Oh yeah.
What did you make of it? Did you have any key takeaways from it? Because like I'm sitting there kind of shocked at what I was witnessing.
Yeah, I mean, in the Tai Lu game, I guess it wasn't super surprising, just because I feel like Tai Lu have dropped off a little bit recently in individual game, especially. So, like, of course, like I didn't expect them to lose to IHC, but I at least expected them to put up a fight. You know, I think Score was really big in the first game. He was carrying them on both maps essentially, and you know there was a big comeback on Ancient. That they kind of survived in the end, and that could have like opened up a way for Tai Lu to come back into that series, and you know would have looked differently, possibly now. But you know the Renegades one, it's definitely like you hit the nail on the head. They just didn't look like they were in it individually whatsoever, and then you know like the game is much easier if you have the other team not really showing up.
I think it was crazy when you have the Renegades boys like losing to simple things like several times, and then like I don't know, it was just hard to watch. But then we obviously got the Tai Lu versus Renegades game. Did you catch that one, Note?
No, these matches were starting at 2 and 4 a.m. for me. So
You're forgiven then.
I'll
let you off the hook. I'll let you off the hook. You also The only map here that you really did miss was Vertigo, which was a fucking barn burner of a game. A 13-2 first half on Renegades pick for Tai Lu. Then they bring it all the way back. The scoreline becomes 14-13 in favor of Renegades. Then they go to overtime. Then they go to double overtime. There's just fucking clutches galore. Dan King popping off. Honorable mention to Dan King, by the way. That guy is fucking legit. And it was a crazy game of Counter-Strike, Prof. Now, look, you got to witness all of that madness, but there was one takeaway there that you were mentioning just before when we were in the break. It was an interview.
Our mate Jay.
Now,
AKA,
Liaz did the post-game interview. Now, I didn't catch it. I didn't see a clip. I saw a couple of funny tweets about it, especially from Aussies, but I don't know what was said. Do you want to give everybody the rundown?
First of all, beer on Liaz.
Okay.
I tweeted this out. He just came on, and the thing is, the way the desk works, it's like a desk interview, but the guy that is doing the interview, he hears what we were saying on the desk for the last maybe like 20, 30 seconds when they like patch it all up together. So essentially, Pimp was at the end saying that like Tai Lu played a better game and that they maybe should have won Vertigo. And Liaz comes on, is like, and Banks asks him something, and he just ignored that and says like, "Pimp, what are you on, mate? Like, you think they're better than us?" And just like calls him out live on the stream there, which is fucking amazing. And then Pimp, like, of course, is like acts as nothing happened. It's like tries to like walk it off. And then Liaz essentially just says like "fuck" and "we sucked," like, and all of these stupid shit that just like goes full Australian on the broadcast. It was amazing. It's just an amazing interview. You need to rewatch the whole thing. But it was amazing. It was just incredible.
I was expecting a couple bit more than it was amazing, Prof.
Yeah,
You said he swore and it was amazing.
Swore like 7 times, but like in that very casual way. It's not like, oh, I'm swearing. It's just like I'm talking like this, and fuck and stuff like that.
Did he say?
I don't think he did that.
Jesus Christ!
I don't think
well, we've just been demonetized, but I'm sure.
Well,
PGL...
I'm just giving Dimitri. I'm giving Dimitri more work now. But the best part is definitely just calling out Pimp, because we all want to call out Pimp here and there, and then you're on a desk with him, and there's not enough time, and you can't do it. And I saw Liaz do that. I'm like, mate, you're my idol, essentially.
So you were inspired by Liaz here, basically.
That's it.
Oh, did I loot? Did I?
No,
did
you're
I...
good.
No,
You're
okay. I just kind of freaked out there for a second. Okay, so let's wrap this one up and put a bit of a bow on it here. So LFO, we already touched on that story. We know what we were expecting from those guys because of the Pro League. Then Tai Lu, this one seems a little bit disappointing because it's kind of been Tai Lu and Renegades making it through these events time and time again to get back towards the majors. For IHC, it's the first Mongolian team to make it to a major because of the situation with Mongols when they beat my squad back in IEM Taipei in 2016. That was only for a major qualifier, which would now be considered the challenger at a major.
Yep.
So it's just lots of fun. But it's the first Mongolian team to make a major, whereas before there have been Urkast has definitely played at a major as a Mongolian player. So they're not the first Mongolian players. And then obviously Renegades coming through and grabbing that second slot to retain their placement there. So I think this is good, obviously, for Renegades to get an opportunity to go back, because they had a bit of rough go of things in Katowice, but I suppose there isn't too much to really sink our teeth into here regarding this event. It was a 4-team event. I think I saw Blair making a tweet saying it would be nice if next time it could be 8 teams. I think that it probably should be 8 teams. When the Americas is 16, right? Why is Asia 4? Like, it's not even fucking half. Like, it's actually really quite like you could easily have 2 Aussie teams, 2 Chinese teams, right? Like it would be very easy to get 8 teams from the region, and I think it would help the region a lot.
I think Striker can explain this though.
Oh, Striker?
Not necessarily, because like it's just something that is explained in the Valve rules, like how many spots there are, and then compared to how many, like what format is used and how many teams are there. So it's essentially like one of those things that Valve put into place for like the general rule book that they put out a few months ago. So it's just something that they've decided for some reason. I don't know why exactly it's not 8 though. Like I feel like it could be 8 even with 2 spots on offer, because like you say, like it's too many different regions that kind of get forgotten to a degree as well, because like we basically had like a Middle Eastern, a Chinese, and Australia, and then like the rest of Asia, just like all bunched together. And that's just like a huge place split into 4 regions that don't necessarily even match up to one another, so it's just difficult to have all the teams, all the like relevant teams at the for playing for a place at the major, as we do in Americas, where there's just a bunch of teams from Brazil, a bunch of teams even from like other South American countries, a bunch of any teams all together. It doesn't really compute to me either.
It just seems crazy.
Especially if it's Valve's goal to like grow those regions, you would
Yeah.
think
Right.
that they would allow more teams to advance through the different regional qualifiers to the actual like RMR event.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I
Agreed.
think when you have 2 spots available, only 4 teams in attendance, like whenever you have 50% of the field, like I know that's going to be the case with the EUs, but it's completely different. Like it's like comparing apples and oranges, right? Like they're
Yeah.
not even the same thing at all. So maybe something to look at in the future. Maybe something that we can have a chat to Valve about in the future and see what we can do, because it would be good to help out some of the smaller regions with more spots available like that. Now that we're going back to 2 majors a year. Okay, let's jump into the meat and potatoes of this one. The reason that we brought Nohte on is to talk about the Americas and see how excited he can be about all these goodies. Now, what Prof has kind of put down here, I guess we use this as a loose guideline here.
Of course.
We can chop and change through whatever topics we want and stay a little bit longer on certain teams if we want here. Now, we were just singing the praises of FURIA. FURIA were the team to grab the #1 spot. They were the reason that the Americas RMR had a Legends position available. They were the rightful owners of that, and they picked it on up, especially after Liquid fell in their opening game to 0-0 Nation and then had to kind of run it back. They were unable to fight and contend for that position. Because if we had Liquid versus FURIA in that game, that ended up being FURIA versus MIBR, first of all, it would have been a much more exciting game. And second of all, maybe there would have been a discussion about who should have been grabbing it. But the way that FURIA has been playing recently, he's awesome. They are the team. The team is awesome. The way that they are playing is fantastic. It's really good Counter-Strike to watch. It's solid. It's still got their quirky style, but we're getting to see what these individuals have. And one of the keys for me, and I know we've had some chats about this in the Discord, Striker, or at least I've brought it up, is drop starting to look a little bit more handy within the team. And I think the same for Safe, right? They both seem like they're growing into the team tournament after tournament. Did you have any thoughts about those two gentlemen and their contributions?
I mean, not necessarily about those two, but in general, like I feel like looking at FURIA and the way they dominated this qualifier just like speaks to the region at the moment. Essentially, like they're just like on a pedestal, in that region, and then everybody else is below them and trying to catch up. Even Liquid, and if you look at them at the moment, even after EPL, they still have some convincing to do before they kind of like attain a spot like a FURIA, in the around the top 10 in the world. So I feel like the fact that they just dominated the region kind of like speaks to their stance there.
This is a little bit of an unfair question, though, but I'll throw this open. Obviously, when Henny was on the team and Vinny was there, that is probably when FURIA looked their best, but it was a little bit more regional competition. How do we think that this roster is faring, Note, compared to that one that existed with Henny and Vinny?
I mean, to me, it just looks like they've reeled in their style a little bit compared to that roster. Like they're not playing as aggressive necessarily. Obviously, you still have Art doing his pushes and whatnot, but they're not as I guess they're just not as explosive in the way that they're doing it. They're still sort of embedding their style into matches, but it doesn't have at least the same flair as I remember it having. It's more modernized almost, similar to how Virtus Pro work with Yakinder and whatnot. So I think for FURIA in general, I would say competition wise, you're right. It's definitely lower than it used to be. So as a whole, they're playing above the caliber of the other teams in this Americas RMR, but even in EPL, they were playing pretty well. And I think they, in general, are showcasing a much better ability with drop. Drop in general has impressed me on this roster since he replaced Vinny full time. I think he's actually, I thought when that move happened, it wouldn't necessarily be the best move just because I like Vinny as a player. But Drop's actually done a really good job in terms of taking over some of those roles and having more impact overall. So I think that overall they're clicking a lot better than the former FURIA roster did, even with Henny necessarily at that period.
Yeah, I think here, like looking at the result they had in Pro League, they did what they should have done in the RMR, right? Like they performed to such a high level in Pro League against teams of a much higher caliber that if they came through and just skirted by and still managed to grab this #1 spot, but it was close series, it was 3 mappers, it was 16-14, so it'd be like, oh, that kind of ruins the shine of them a little bit. But the fact that they just came in and went, everyone else, you fucking suck. And they just like beat down on everybody. I love that because that's taking care of business, right? That's keeping your yard in order. That's making sure that there's not a mess. There's no question. There is no question. Like FURIA are undoubtedly the best team within that region right now, and Liquid, in my mind, would be #2. But they've still got some proving to do, right? I think we have to see them grow into things a little bit more. Prof, were you happy to see that level of performance out of them? Did you think that maybe against domestic being like more Brazilian teams that they might find a hiccup or two? Or did you think they were just going to come out the gates and blow them out the water, especially because Gary wasn't here to be able to coach them, right? He had to be
Yeah.
off in a room.
That was kind of the asterisk for FURIA. I think the only one though.
Okay.
The way they play and the way they play, especially against underdogs, I think that's not a great. It's not a great matchup if you're the underdog in that game. They're not going to give you any respect. They don't give anyone any respect, and especially not teams like this, which individually like can't really hold their own. And then I mean, we saw some of these teams. Honestly, it was kind of depressing, and not depressing, but like you think of the possibilities and the options, and like the just like yeah, there are major spots on the line. You need to pick up 3 wins, and the CS that was played from like 5, 6 teams at this event was like honestly super subpar, right?
Yes.
And these are teams that the Fury faced early on, and then yeah, it was that was it. They just made it easy for them.
I think people here, like, if you take a little bit of a look, they didn't drop a map. There wasn't even close. Like, I'll run you through the results right now. Leviathan 16-4, Isra 16-4. They go and play Complexity. The closest map there was a 16-11 on Vertigo. They beat them on Ancient 16-7, and then they played MIBR, and I casted that game. It was a 16-9, 16-4. It wasn't close. Like
No.
that game against MIBR wasn't close. And I think if people are going to fool themselves, because we're going to talk about a couple of these other team names here. You're going to fool yourself and you think from what you saw here in about 2.5 weeks' time that you're going to expect these guys to be able to play against the good teams from Europe in the major. You're not watching the Counter-Strike that was on display here. You're deluding yourself, right? Like it wasn't high-level Counter-Strike. Like it wasn't. Like I'm sorry. I think that the region has a lot of talent in terms of individuals, but in terms of having their act together and the approach, there's still a lot to be desired. I would say. I think there's great signs for the future, and I think that having this many spots available for the South Americans is
But
great.
will they have this many spots next time? Who
I think
knows?
FURIA can make top 8.
Yeah, but that's still
But
not.
they at the moment they would need 4 teams to make it through to retain those 6 spots
They need
to make it
4
through the
teams to
challenger
make the
stage.
Legends.
Basically, like whoever drops out of the challenger stage, that spot's gone. Like you only have 2 by default. You have 2 contender spots as every region. You know that's
Just
default.
like Asia,
And everything else
Asia
you earn
has as
earn by going through the challenger stage. So you just lose. You essentially lose major spots if you don't have teams going through the challenger stage as a region. Because the next major is just going to have whatever amount of legends and challenger spots based on how many teams made it at the previous major. So, you know, if there's only one American team going through the challenger stage, Furia, for example, they're only going to have 1 challengers or legend spot
mean,
and then
the-
2 contender spots. So that's 3 in total.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying is, let's fucking go Renegades and IHC.
Well, yeah, if they go through, they could extend like more spots to those regions if they make it past the challenger stage.
Holy moly, red beans and ravioli, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This just got a little bit naughtier around here, didn't it? Okay, well, I guess we can discuss that as we wrap up the Americas side of things. Now, I've gushed over Furia enough. Let's pick the next victim that we probably won't be gushing over too much. Let's keep it with praise, and then after we do the praise, then we'll get into the fun stuff. Liquid. Now, they lost the game to 0-0 Nation. That one was obviously an upset. And it wasn't just a loss. It was a fucking destruction. You're watching that game and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Did you get baited in? No. Did you think, Jesus, it's come together? Cold Zero, he's done it. He's a fucking magician. Did you get baited into the hype?
Not really at all, actually.
No?
I
Okay.
watched a couple of 0-0 Nations matches before this, and they just looked way too shaky for me to think that they could consistently beat teams like Liquid.
Okay.
They just have the ability to get an upset like this because of the players. And also, I think Liquid obviously stumbled. It's not only 0-0 Nation that won this match. I think Liquid obviously had their own growing pains coming into this event initially, but I think that kind of losing the match in that fashion honestly shocked them into just dominating the rest of their matches in this whole event. Also, OC coming in and actually like delivering is something I love to see because I've been a huge OC fan for the last 2 years. I've been waiting for him to get the call up and be able to actually show that he can deliver against international opposition. And especially this last year, he's obviously really been stepping up, and now he's able to deliver. And all the players are really hyping him up in interviews on the roster.
Yeah.
Which I honestly really appreciate because I think a lot of NA players, when they get the chance to come up now, have a lot of hate and derision sort of just directed at them. Like obviously Junior on complexity hasn't been performing as well as he could be, and he's obviously struggled. And all you see in interviews in comments is people just shitting on him for no reason half the time. Like sometimes, yeah, his performances aren't good, but the level of hate that some of these players get as they come up is unwarranted. So seeing OT be able to get that praise from even the public as he's sort of delivering is
You cut out at the end there, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think we got the sentiment.
Yeah.
It was all good stuff that you were saying right there. The last word I think we lost, but regardless,
I think it's just nice to see. That's all I said.
Okay. I keep thinking my fucking internet's dropping out.
No,
I'm
no,
so
no,
paranoid in
that
this
just
setup.
cut out.
I just keep freaking out. Okay. I think when we look at Liquid, I'll run through their results as well, just in case the viewers at home missed it. Now they had that loss to 0-0 Nation to start things off, but then, as you mentioned, it fired them up and they definitely destroyed the rest of the opposition. They then beat Team 1 16-3, and then they owned Pain on Mirage 16-1. Like they absolutely destroyed them, and I believe that was with a T-side start. Yeah, it was a 14-1 T-side on Mirage. It was just a great performance from Liquid, and then they go into the best of 3 against EG, and you're thinking, okay, maybe this will ignite some of the fire in Stu and Co, and maybe we get a close one here. But it was a 2-mapper. It was 16-9, 16-10. So it was good stuff. Liquid taking care of business here. Striker, are you warming to Liquid now a little bit more so when you're seeing results like this, or do you think this it doesn't mean as much as maybe them beating Heroic at Pro League, for example?
I mean, of course, it doesn't mean as much. Like, look at the teams that they're facing, right? Like, obviously, I mean, I would just brush off the 0-0 Nation loss. I feel like it was just like a slow start to the tournament, bad day or whatever you can chalk it up to, because like the rest of the event, like there's nothing to talk about. Like they really did kind of confirm that their status is like on the level of Furia-ish, and then there's everybody else below those two teams, and that's basically what we got confirmed this entire RMR. Like there's Furia on top, there's Liquid, and then there's a big gap. There's complexity. Maybe like you can throw in teams like Imperial and like the third group or whatever, or like a second group. And then there's all the rest, like an MIBR and maybe like a Pain EG, that type of a level, So that's essentially like this entire RMR has been a confirmation of what we've thought about North Americas or just in general the Americas over the past, let's say, year or so, where we know that there's basically only two teams that are competitive, and the rest of them, they're still growing into that.
Yeah. Do you think, Prof, just building off of what Note was saying about OC and performing well and getting the praise, do you think this will help to bed him into the team a little bit better when they go back to the tier 1 opponents? Or do you think this is just like, okay, well, this is the teams that we're used to seeing him own. It's still going to take, I don't know, another 6 months. I'm throwing an arbitrary figure out there before we really see him do this consistently, or maybe you don't think he can do this consistently against the best teams?
I mean, there's been this quote from Malige, I think a couple of times now, that he said that he expects them to be like a top 20 player this year. I'm not saying it's a given, but it's also not out of question. I think the trajectory is there. It's also been like, yeah, it's April 16th today, as of the recording of this podcast and live broadcasting.
Yep.
But we only had like a couple of events. There hasn't been much to play. Like there hasn't been a lot of tournaments, especially like full tournaments. There's been a lot of Pro League, a lot of Blast season matches. Like all of these matches are like kind of warm up, but not actually the things that we count the most when we think about, who is a top 20, who is the best player in the world, right? That's why this whole discussion about like is Brokey the best player in the world for this year, right? Is he the best player of the year so far? We're in this weird situation, but I think he's on a good trajectory to reach that top 20. I'm not saying you should, put your house on it, but it's definitely possible, like for him to be that.
Okay. All right. I guess that's enough with Liquid there. Unless anybody has any other keys with Liquid they want to talk about with the roster or anything. They all seem pretty calm. Adren seem pretty chill in the background. They're just taking care of business. Okay, complexity. Now, this is an interesting one. Let's start off from this angle. I don't want to misquote Mr. Graham Messioso Pitt, but there was a sentiment in an interview to do with stickers on the guns. And,
Note probably knows this one.
No, do you want to give people the synopsis of this situation?
Yeah, basically Graham told the complexity players. So a bunch of them had complexity stickers on their guns from previous like teams who have made the major, and Graham basically told them they have to scrape them off until they make the major themselves because they haven't earned them. and
Oh.
he basically forced them to scrape the stickers off of their guns while they were playing in recent events until they actually made the major, so they put them on themselves. I think he took it from he was mentioning a football team that I can't remember, and he basically said that like there's an arena that when you walk in, the players touch the logo of the team or something like that, and he's like, you can't. The players were told on that team that you can't do that unless you've played in the arena. So he basically copied that sentiment and
It's
said
Liverpool or
that they
something,
have to
yeah.
actually, yeah, they have to actually like earn that themselves and be able to put the stickers of their own stickers on those guns.
Okay, so now that this has been laid on the table here, I can see, Striker, you got a little bit of a
I
quizzical.
read like most of the interview, and somehow it's not this it's not this part. I just completely missed this part.
What do you feel about this part now that
I
you're
really
hearing
like
this?
it. I like the
Mate, you shouldn't go
don't-
on the forums then. You're against the fucking consensus over there at HLTV.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was reading
I feel
a
like
thread.
it's kind of cool. I
Banks
feel like it's
posted
kind of cool.
it. Banks posted a thread, and everybody was in there like saying like they didn't agree with it. But you like
Really?
it?
I kind of like it just as a sentiment. You know, it's obviously it's not going to make a massive difference, you know, but it is something to work, like something extra to work towards. You know, if you want to have your stickers in the game or whatever, like don't how do you say this? Don't piggyback off like your previous the organization's previous teams. Earn it yourself. You know, I like that
Boom.
sentiment a lot. Like I really do.
I like it too. Prof, what do you
think?
think?
It's cringe.
Oh,
I think
fucking hell, you have been
honestly,
reading the
it's
forums.
the thing is like the idea isn't that bad, but the way it was described was like, oh, look at me. I read a book about sports success. I'm gonna bring success to this organization. That's
But you're
how it read.
detracting from the
It was-
sentiment.
Well, that is a part of the sentiment. It's how it's presented.
Sure,
That is
okay,
the
all right.
sentiment. Maybe that I'm not perfect in English, but that seems like the definition of the sentiment. Maybe not. Who knows? Essentially, sounds cringe.
Okay, well,
Off
Reasonable.
topic though.
Yeah.
I did really. I got Banks to start using the HLTV forums.
why?
Um,
You did it with Pimp too, right?
Pimp too. I got them on the forums. Ble and Dinko also. They all got verified HLTV forum user accounts. So anyone that is relevant and wants to, you know, the thing is that you can't post too much in a short
Anyone
period
who
of
is
time.
yeah, it's true.
So that can like Stana was when we were in Katowice. I got him on it, and then he got like locked by the program essentially. So now we have this verified account thing. So people that are relevant that want to be embedded in the forums to interact where the men's are, and also the women's, and also just everyone's. Yeah, just let me know when we can hook it up.
If you're
Okay.
not verified on HLTV forums, you're irrelevant. You heard it here from
Yeah.
Prof first.
I mean, Striker, he's also verified there, so that's what counts essentially.
At least it's
That
somewhere,
Yeah.
I don't want people to know it's me. I like it when I post and people are like, is this really Sponge? I like that. I like the
Yeah, I knew
anonymity
that. I
feel.
didn't want to. I could verify you. I knew your account, but I'm like, he probably doesn't want this.
Nah, I don't want to be verified on Reddit either. Like when they were DMing me about, hey, like the thing with Reddit that bothered me was like, hey, can you send us a DM to say you're real? I'm like, fuck off. I'm me. I'm gonna post as me, and if people believe it's me, that's fine. And then I get people's argument of like, oh, but you know, people could be spreading false. Come on, man, it's fucking internet. People could be spreading false information anyway. It's just
People do it anyway, right?
Yeah, of course. Okay, I want to go back to this Graham thing because I was actually talking about this. I actually brought this up with Dinko while we were casting one of the complexity games, and I saw it on their guns, and I was like, Dinko, what do you think about this? And we had a bit of a chat about it. And like for me, I think about it in the same way Striker's saying, like, if you're part of the team, right? If you're part of the team, you're part of the team. You're a salaried member. You wear the jersey. You have the clan tag. You're part of the team. The sticker on the gun is part of your achievement. It's not just a thing that you fucking whack on, right? Like it's dated. It's from a specific event. I was at this event. Now, you as a fan are probably listening to me say this and going, "Should I take them off my guns?" No, it's completely fucking different. Let's not be ridiculous here. Let's not try and blend the two fucking streams. We're not doing Ghostbusters or some shit. But the point here is like for me as a player in a team like that, when I earned the stickers as Vox Emin, or I earned the stickers as Renegades, or I have my signature stickers, it means something to me. Like me personally. Like it means a lot to me, right? That was an achievement that I made, then to get myself or my team or whatever immortalized in the game. And I think as a team, and especially a bunch of players who had never been to a major before, I think it's important for them to have the want for that, right? To have that as something which is like this is the thing. The sticker gets so much shine these days. Like it's spoken about. Like, and I hate that it's a sticker, because when I think of a sticker, I think of it in fucking 4th grade, where they put a gold sticker on a chart and say you did a good job, right? Like
Or in
it's
your
obviously
car.
not that. It's like it's just the fact that it's a sticker, but it's what that represents, right? And I think that like I thought it was fine. I thought the Graham message was fine. You know, whether or not you're into old people's sports with round balls or not, I think that it was a fine little thing to request of his players. And now they have them, so now they can put, when they get them, they can put them on, and it's all good. It's all good in the hood. Where do you stand on this, Nut?
I like the sentiments, honestly. I think in general, making it so that the players have to have earned it adds value as well. Aside from even just slapping other stickers onto it, it makes them appreciate it more when they actually earn it. And I think in general, that's the sentiment that most NA players should appreciate more as a whole, outside of just making the major.
I like that people talking shit in chat. It always revs me up. It revs me up so much. And they like Zanza Zanana, immortalized. SPUNJ's signature will be extinct in a couple of years. No, it won't, because I'm never giving over my signature skins. They'll be with me until Counter-Strike dies. So they'll be there for me anyway, right? So you're not going to upset me. You can't do it. I'm already too upset. I'm missing home. All right, let's talk about complexity a little bit, right? Let's actually talk about the team, because it's probably important to do so. I still think that they have some work to do. I don't know where it's lacking the most, though. I'm struggling to put my finger on that, because I think that they have a good approach to the game. I like some of the strategies that they're coming up with. I think that they do a good job prepping for their opponents and whatnot. Is it just the individuals being consistent or shooting harder? As silly as that sounds, like does anybody know where the next strength of complexity could come from, or what they're lacking?
I think my biggest issue when watching complexity is that they tend to struggle either early into maps or specifically on the first side of the map that they're playing on, and they're always forced to come back from something like a 7-2 or a 9-4, like some deficit. And by the time they crawl back, the score always ends up being 16-13, but to the other team. So a lot of their maps they've played, even at Blast, even at the RMR, they got close, but they just lost it towards the end of the map because they started down so far. And that in part, I think, is because they're still relatively inexperienced playing in big matches like this. And then secondly, it obviously, I think it's hard to deny that obviously Junior has issues when it comes to playing in some of these big matches. But as he said in the interview I did with him, a lot of his problems are he basically used to be a very not necessarily a passive opper, but he was very good at taking picks, running away, like falling off, sort of like device style. Um, and when he went to FURIA, they sort of made him change his style, and that's what he's really been struggling with to kind of readjust. He's gotten used to sort of being more aggressive and re-peaking angles when that's not really what he did before. Also, I think he looks up to Simple a lot, and he tries to draw inspiration from Simple. And obviously, you can't
Not a good thing.
like you can't really do that for most offers. It's really hard to meet that sort of level. But in general, the level of complexity, I think, is they have a very good foundation based off of JT's in-game leadership, off of Floppy's excellent rifling. I think Floppy is also easily like most promising consistent North American player outside of Liquid at this point. And then obviously they have Fang.
What about Automatic?
No comment. I think
no comment? You mean Automatic is bad?
no, I think Automatic actually surprised me coming back from Valorant and the level that he's playing at. I just don't think that whole EG squad is where it's at in general.
We better do into that one there a little bit. I can't wait to get to the EG conversation. That's going to be a fun one. That is going to be a fun one.
But yeah, I think Floppy is really good. Also, Fang's mentality, and every player that I've talked to who's played with him sings his praises in terms of how adaptable he is and the effort he's willing to put in. So for me, people who are trying to call for this complexity squad to make changes or that they're not playing well, I think they have to keep in mind that these players are really young. Like all of them are really, really young, and most of them are very inexperienced on stage in LAN or big matches as it is. Most of them came up during the online era, so they need a lot of time to sort of still adjust and make impact on in big events like this. Like give them another 4 months, 5 months. They're not like a Vitality where if they're not performing the next 2-3 months, we should start getting worried. They do need a little bit more time before we start really, and also qualifying for the major within their first 3 months together is still a pretty solid result, I would say.
It's a bit of a slow burn for this one here. I just want to run through their results for everybody so that we keep that a little bit consistent. Complexity beat Team 1, 16-8. They then went on later in the day to beat 0-0 Nation, 16-5. Then they lost 2-0 to FURIA. We already covered that one, but lost to FURIA, the team who topped the event. I think that would be relatively expected. And then they beat Sao Catano 2-0. And both of those matchups right there were 16-5. And a lot of people in chat, I think, with a lot of the names I just said, probably thinking who. And I think that kind of summarizes the event in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just like it's tiered up. Like it's tiered up the Americas exactly as it should have. You know, you see from, especially like if you look at the one-sided results that FURIA, Liquid, and Complexity have had, you know, outside of the matches between each other, essentially, like all of them were one-sided. They just dominated everybody else other than each other. If you will disregard the 0-0 Nation loss from Liquid, so it's just like those 3 teams, and then everybody else is below that.
Yeah. Look, it couldn't have been. Well, can we get into the fun stuff? Do we want to talk about Complexity, or can we get into the fun stuff?
We can.
I just want to say, like, who could they even replace? Like, Junior is the only player that you could say maybe isn't living up to the bill, but thankfully NA has no good uppers, so you're not going to pick up anyone else. Like, there is no one to pick up. So see, maybe.
What about Swan? He was all right.
The only player I could see is like Minus, who is on Orgless. He
wasn't really good.
That's the thing, though. Like, there's nobody who would be able to perform better than Junior at the moment, anyways.
So unless the only thing you can import European opera. That's the only thing. But it's like he isn't like horribly like Cirque last year level bad. He has some good moments. He has clutches. Like that's where he feels like he's very, very useful. So it's far from people spamming Wolfie, which is interesting.
He just took a break. Yeah.
I mean, those breaks, man. What does that even mean?
True. What does it even mean?
EG Wolfie.
Okay. All right. Let's jump into the fun stuff here. Let's get into the fun stuff. Okay. We're going to go into the bucket of teams here with MIBR, Imperial, and 9Z. All right. Let's start with MIBR, probably the one that has...
Keeping the dessert.
Yeah, we'll save that stuff for a little bit later down the line. Let me run everybody through MIBR's run, just to put all of this in a bit of context for everybody. MIBR beat 9Z in the opening game. Was it 9Z in the opening game? Am I reading this correctly here? Yeah, beat 9Z in the opening game, 16-13. Then they had a second matchup during that opening day where they beat Pain 25-23. Now, if that doesn't make too much sense to you, that was on Vertigo. It was a triple overtime. It was the last game of the day. And Pain and 9Z were the 2 teams who were playing off for the final spot. If that tells you how close it probably is between those 3 teams. I think that those 3 teams, if you put them into a bit of a bracket and you made them play each other a bunch of times, would get different results pretty consistently. But a lot of these teams, MIBR is one of them, that have, you know, some redeemable players of quality about them. Now, I think we saw MIBR earlier in the year, but Cello was the one who couldn't make it, right? He wasn't able to get on over there, so they were using one of the players from the academy team. But having Cello back, it was good to see his influence in the server. And then we had MIBR within the best of 3s. Where am I right here? Where is it? We're looking.
Imperial and FURIA.
Yes, they beat Imperial. And they lost a map to Imperial. They lost Inferno to Imperial, but they won on Vertigo and Nuke. And then the FURIA game for the first seed, they got absolutely dumpstered. So I actually think that even if we were to throw Imperial into that list of names with 9Z, Pain, and MIBR, that would make those 4 would be the most 4 competitive teams we had in this event, other than 3 that we've already been over so far. And I think fortunately for Imperial, the only one of those 3 that they actually had to face was MIBR, and they lost to them. But let's try and say some things about MIBR. Does anyone have any takeaways for this MIBR roster? Is this a team that has a few more redeemable players in it than like maybe just Cello and Jodo, who are aggressive on the rifle? Like what do we? Anyone got any takeaways here for MIBR? I don't want to be too dismissive.
I mean, Exit is also pretty good. He's been around for a while. He cried after in the interview, so that's also very notable. I mean, Turtle is good. I feel like this the way MIBR. Honestly, I said this on the desk. This is the best and most promising MIBR team we had in like 2 years.
That's fair.
And this is also the first time they actually have a team and they're playing international tournaments as a team in a while, right? There's been this long period of them coming to international tournaments and always being a stand-in, recently changed player, all of this bullshit, right? So yeah, we give them a pass for that. At the same time, they're also like a team that is, I don't know, a blast partner team. So maybe we don't need to give them a pass. Maybe they should
True.
just do better, right? But at this point, late last year, there was this whole Brazilian shakeup happening, and they literally signed at some point, I think, 8 players. They
Yes.
signed almost the whole Bravos roster, which probably was the best team in Brazil at the time. But thankfully, for MIBR, the Valve rule set and the RMR rule set was dog shit, so they couldn't really qualify for the RMR, even though they were the best team. So yeah, essentially the team Dorg disbanded, and MIBR picked up all of the best players combined, and then now they have a good roster. That kind of happens when you get like a full lineup free to pick up. So good for them for once signing good players.
I think there's a lot of good players in the region. I already touched on this, right? I just don't think they're either like have necessarily enough practice as a team, or all the players in the right place, or maybe the right in-game leader, or that kind of stuff. Because there's clearly a lot of good players. Like you could see glimpses of it. There was a lot of games where like an individual or a team, like Nathan, for example, from Pain, would drop like 30 frags, right? Like, okay, he's good. Like, yeah, like you don't just, and he did it consistently, he had impact consistently. So like there's a couple of these names that you can definitely like throw together and think, okay, yeah, maybe we're working with something here. This is why like I'm struggling right now to sit here and talk too much about MIBR. And I'm going to struggle really difficult to talk about like 9Z is the one, and we already touched on them, and theirs was the hardest run. They started 0-2 down, and then they went 5 fucking consecutive best of threes. Imperial, right? I'm sure there's some Imperial fans here. This is going to get clear, put on some Brazilian news website, completely taken out of context. I'm going to get called a gringo. You know, like this is just what's going to happen, right? I don't actually want to talk about this team because of that. I really don't. I really don't want to talk about this team. But no, but it's so like this is the thing. You can't say what you want about these type of teams because you just get fucking grilled. These are the only teams Imperial beat.
Pussy, man.
These are the only teams Imperial beat. Sal Catano, the score was 16-12. 16-12 against a team who didn't qualify, right? That was one of the teams that Imperial beat. I got to find these fucking names, this long ass list, instead of just doing the easy way.
Hey,
they then beat Case or Kase 16-6, right? Then in the best of 3, they lost to MIBR. And then the other best of 3 that they won, right, was a 3-map affair against Party Astronauts who don't even have an org. Are we celebrating this?
Literally, like, I think the salary for one Imperial player could cover the whole Party Astronauts team right now. I think they'd sign for that, honestly.
Yeah, I can tell you right now easily. Also, the thing with that Party Astronauts game is that Party Astronauts crumbled on Inferno. That was a match that easily could have gone the other way if Party Astronauts had more experience, more time to boot camp. Like, I think to me, this Imperial squad didn't really impress me at this event in terms of being able to compete at a world level. Yes, they qualified. I think that's really good for the players, but I think
good for viewership.
Good for viewership, incredible. And also, in general, I just like following you as a player that I really looked up to when I first started watching CS. But I think as a whole, this team will not have a massive impact when they get to the major. Like I could see them going out probably as a 1-3 team in the Swiss stage.
Who did they beat?
Great question.
They definitely could win a game in a best. They could definitely win a best
no?
of 1, right? They can definitely win a best of 1. Their map pool's not deep enough to win a best of 3. There's literally no way in the world Imperial, like I can't see a team, right, unless they get matched against somebody who's comparably as weak in the map pool. It's so hard to see them win a best of 3. Like, was anybody watching South American Nuke, or not even just America's Nuke? Like, the amount of times that these teams didn't realize they'd given up vent control and are dropping multiple players down the vent to rotate B. Like, it was a lot of the Counter-Strike wasn't good Counter-Strike. Like, it just wasn't. Like,
Yeah, Nuke was definitely one of those maps where you can tell if people kind of like understand how rotations work and how you're supposed to put protocols in place. Because that's like the most difficult map to work that as a team. You know, you just have to have it really well thought through if you don't want to get pulled around the map all the time. You know, it's just a really hard map to play from that sense if you don't have rotations down.
it's so fucked, man. Like, I think that this region can be really strong, but it's not there yet. Like, they need more exposure to this level of like to the European level of Counter Strike because there's clear that there's such a huge player base. I think that, and I mentioned this on the show. I think that the South America specifically, Brazil specifically, is like what the CIS region was a couple years ago when we had the Vega squadrons and shit. That's what it'll become. Like it because there is so much talent available, right? And they actually have
Yeah.
resources. They actually have a bunch of people who make orgs for the local teams. They have support of some variety, man. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely think that this region will become strong in the future, but right now it's not strong. Like
It's
it,
also a bit difficult because of the amount of exposure that they get. There's very limited times that we see some of these teams go over to Europe. It's only basically those that are staying there long term, which is what is that? Was Team One at some point, Sharks before that, and stuff like that. Some of these teams got sent now. Obviously, unless you move somewhere, like you're gonna have a hard time playing against the best teams, and the region will kind of suffer as a result of that. Obviously, they will get these opportunities in those outside teams like a FURIA, every now and again those talents, but like entire teams just have to move essentially because even like going to NA, there's no real upside for them anymore, not at least compared to a couple of years ago when like Furia did it.
Yeah. So I just want to quickly, with this graphic we have up on screen here, I just wanted to shout out to the Reddit user named Evade. He has a 3 for the E with an underscore at the end, who made this, and it's on Reddit.
Right.
It's quite an easy way to see where all the teams are at in all of this. So like 9Z, we already sung their praises before. We mentioned about Uruguay, Argentina, Chile with that of David in the mix there. So we spoke about them. They had a gargantuan run, and I think that their run was actually quite a difficult run on the way back. Right, they had to beat EG, they had to beat Pain. Those were the two. That was to grab the major spot, but they also had to win a bunch of games as well to get them out of the Swiss stage because that was hard in itself. So I think the 9Z for their run actually out of those teams had a very difficult go. And that's why I mentioned, I think Imperial, MIBR, 9Z, and Pain, if you put them in like a bracket together, that would be quite an interesting little thing to see play out and who would come out on top of all of that. But as far as I go, as I
You
mentioned,
could probably throw EG into that mix.
yeah, no, I'm excluding EG because like we can talk
Because?
about EG in a second. No, I'm happy we can talk about EG. Can we leave the Brazilian stuff? Because
Sure.
man, like
You made enough enemies in these 15 minutes. It's fine.
it's just too hard to talk about this stuff.
It's
Like I'm
also
actually going to
10:30
intentionally. Oh,
here
yeah.
locally almost. So we have a
Yeah,
lot to do now.
You're
And
right, you're right.
Let's go into the meat and potatoes, but with gravy.
Okay, so bad news bears. No, I'll throw this one over to you, mate. Do you want to kind of give us a little bit of an understanding here of this roster, right? Because we saw them play. They had Momo, Pluto, Swan, SPUNJ was still there, and of course Sheikh Zula. What's the expectation of this team?
So I talked to Sheikh Zula quite a bit actually, just because I think he's sort of the Hundun of NA basically in a sense. I think he actually could take the step up to like a bigger team, but he's never really been called up. So he's basically had this role where he's brought up a lot of talent that are currently playing in bigger teams. Obviously, he played with Floppy, he's played with OC, he's played with Junior, he's played with Grim. He's helped develop a lot of these younger players. So what he basically had a lot of struggles with this lineup when it first got created because most of those that sort of tier of players all got called up already. So he had to find fresh talent he could develop. And I think Pluto, honestly, is in terms of the sort of mentality he has. I've played with him a bunch, and I think he actually is a player who could make it, who could actually like make strides into make it onto a larger team eventually. The problem is that these players lack so much experience right now that it's going to take at least a year for them to that step up if they can make it. I know that when I talked to Sheikh Zula before they went there, he basically said that the team had actually steadily improved in probably the last week or two before they left. They'd had a lot of struggles at the start of the ECL season and in general with qualifiers because the team was so fresh. But they're also there for the next 6 weeks. They have a boot camp that they're going to be boot camping in Europe for 6 weeks and just playing in cups and events and whatever they can while they're there. So for me, that's honestly really promising because the sort of level that these players are at, being in Europe for 6 weeks as completely inexperienced NA players is going to give them like a year's worth of practicing in NA.
I keep
Then
thinking, man. I keep thinking I fucking timed out every time.
No.
no, I just cut off abruptly when I talk sometimes. That's entirely my fault, to be honest. I have these points
You
where I
just need
stop.
to, you need to finish on like a, you know, you need to put it a bit there when you finish, and then if you make a loud sound when you finish, then everyone will know that you finished. Essentially, pro tip.
I can do that.
Thank you.
So, bad news bears, party astronauts. Some big names here, guys, but it's not the name that I think we all want to talk about here, is it? It's not the fun one. It's not the one that everybody came here to discuss. Striker,
Yep.
you're a fan
Want
of
me-
EG.
Get me started
You
with
missed
EG?
out on the chat last time. You missed out on the conversation
Yeah.
last time round.
What did
We're
you
having
say
a
about
big-
EG? Did you say about something about EG last time?
I just said that if the org wants to spend money on the team, that's completely up to them. I was taking a disappointed standpoint, right? If that's what they want to do, that's their money, right? Now, these are rumors, okay? This is what I'm going to talk. I want to preface what I'm about to talk about here. Complete
Here we go again.
unsubstantiated rumors, completely unsubstantiated. I have only the grapevine with what I'm about to talk about here. I don't have I don't have any facts to back these up. But rumors are fun. So let's talk about some rumors. I heard a rumor that when all the shuffle was going around with Liquid, that one of the things that was happening was while everything was getting chopped and changed, there was a potential chance that Liquid were trying to sign Breeze and Cirque. Right? I don't know if anybody else heard this rumor. Maybe
I've heard something along those lines.
okay. So as part of that, for EG to keep Breeze and Cirque, sign them for more than they were already paying them for before. Now I heard before they were already making a shitload of money. Like, yes, Prof. You just leaned very closely into the mic there. There's definitely. I heard before they were earning a shitload of money. Now I heard that they're even making a shitload more amount of money, right? Like, and this is the thing. I'll still take the disappointed parent stance. Like, that's fine. If they want to pay these guys, it's up to the org. If they want to spend this much money on the team, that's completely up to the org. That's up to them. That's their choice to do all of this here. But for a team to get paid this amount of money and to not perform to a level and be a partner team, right? We have already done the partner team conversation. It has to be beyond disappointing. I don't even know how to put it into words. Like, we've already spoken about the field being relatively weak. Like, the field is already relatively weak, and then they're still not playing well. So, like, what do? You're paying them a shitload of money. They're not playing well. They're a partner team. They're exposed to playing against the best teams in the world, and then they can't win in their region. What do we do? No, what do we do? What do they do? What does EG do now? Do they change the roster? Does anybody have any idea? No one's gonna.
They missed out on the boat now, right? Because like all these new teams, like if you look at Liquid, they've just made their big changes. You know, they got OC. Obviously, that would have been a big name that EG would have potentially been interested in if that was available. Obviously, didn't happen. And then Complexity just got their team together. So you know, if there was any sort of chance for them to maybe get like a Grim or whatever, if they saw potential in that, or something like that, they missed out on that. So EG just went with like a relatively old core with, you know, people who obviously won one major, but we all know that major was kind of a fluke at the time already. So like if you want to bank on that, that's not a lot to bank your entire strategy on, right? And obviously we know that they wanted different players. They wanted Valde, and then, you know, that was a big report. That didn't work out either. So like they had to basically settle with Rush, who's not even the problem of this team. Like he's okay. It's the start of this, it's the stars of the team that are the problem. And the fact that Automatic is the one performing the best out of those three, you know, if you count in Breeze and Cirque, is just a massive issue. Like you just do need Breeze and Cirque. Like we've been talking about this for months. You just do need Breeze and Cirque to be at least the second and third stars of the team. But at the moment, they're just playing like average players at best, you know, and that's just something that's not going to fly if you want to have a good team. You know, if you have just, you know, one or two guys performing every series, you know, it's not going to be enough.
But let's look at it this way, right? I'm saying, like, what do we do, right? We can sit here and we can say the ifs and buts, and if this guy performed better and this guy played good and this guy was doing this, we can do that until the fucking cows come home. But what do we do? The situation we're in is none of those things are happening.
The problem
no
for me
in-
is that they've missed the boat on any move they could make, as we said earlier. Like maybe they could go and like poach a player or two from complexity, but would any of those players really leave that roster at this point when they're having
way.
better results than EG?
Maybe they
That doesn't
can-
make any sense.
They
Maybe
get
they
paid
can
a
do
lot
a
more.
circuit breeze and just kind of entertain the option just to then get paid $70,000 million per month or something, because that's the disparity of their performance and their value in the scene right now. It's a fucking joke overall.
The only change I could see them making maybe is if they want to try and import talent and go like JKS and Wonderful or something, and just
I would advise my
pivot
friend JKS
entirely.
not to join that roster.
It's not
That's
even
the
the
thing,
like
Unless
who
he
wants-
hates
who would
himself,
wants to
do not
it
join
right
that
now?
team. What's the point?
you say Cirque and Breeze, I say like the whole team is awful. Like it's awful. Like they play.
Yeah, what works
Let-
in the team?
There's like I think Automatic is the best player.
He
there.
is.
He's the player.
Statistically, he is.
And then if you're like you have one player that is okay, that's not a team. That's literally a poach for someone else. There's like as an outsider, you don't even think about like how do I fix CG at this point, because there's like so many things that need to go differently. I don't think the team is like playing well from a tactical IGL standpoint. I think they just walk around the map half the time. Stewie is in game leading. I don't think that's good. I think that would be the point where that would be the position from where I'd start, honestly. And then also all of the other players are literally on the chopping board. I think Cirque had a better performance than last year. I think last year he was like absolutely he was horrible. And that's when you say that he got that he renegotiated for more after that.
That's the
I feel like-
rumor. I don't know.
yeah,
like I
if
said,
that is true.
unsubstantiated.
It's literally the Mourinho meme. Like if I speak, I'm gonna be in big trouble. Like this can't be real. Like it just can't be. It can't be. Like you can sign literally anyone, and you gamble. Maybe he's gonna be worse, but maybe he's gonna be a lot better. So it's worth a gamble at this point. Like how is this like? How are you so desperate? It's like.
But how did they pick this as the team? Wasn't Malik brought over there to help them curate a squad?
But the thing is, like, this whole team was also supposed to be built by like Daps, and then there was Naf in the talks, and then Malik came in suddenly, and then Naf is not here. So I feel like along the way they got a bit lost, and then Liquid just outdid them in the transfer market.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the keeping Nav for Liquid, I think that was a big kick in the dick for EG. Like if they had, obviously, I don't think it would have been a good move for Nav anyway for him to go to like a team where Daps comes into play, because that was the plan. He wasn't supposed to coach. He was supposed to lead that team from inside the server, right? And so it's supposed to be like the recreation of the old NRG core plus NAF essentially. And that was the plan originally, right? But that would have been bad as well, in my opinion. I don't think that would have solved anything either. Okay, you have a better player in NAF, but it would still be. Right? But it would still be a team that was good 3 years ago, but now who knows? Especially with Cirque and Breeze playing, far from that level. So it's just, I think that's been their biggest problem. They just haven't been able to attract anybody else. Essentially, they just have to settle.
It's not even the players that are necessarily the main issue for me. It's the fact that combined with the performance of those players is the fact that Stewie just can't be the main in-game leader for this team. I think like even with the Cloud9 roster that won the major, it was between him and Tarek, and mostly Tarek, who are in game leading. And for, like the way they play and the way Stewie plays, I think he's very good at mid rounding and late rounding, at least when he calls like those sort of situations. Even when the clips that they've aired on broadcast of voice comms, he does that. But I think as a whole, he just can't be the primary in-game leader of a lineup. And at what point did these sort of teams look towards the in-game leaders who are actually trying to grind in North America and trying to bring up those teams like Sheikh Zula, Ben Leet? Even if you go international and you sort of like try and pick up an actual in-game leader, I don't know why these lineups aren't trying to explore and take those risks at this point, because obviously what they're doing right now isn't working. So they have to sort of make that jump in.
This is a player picked roster, though, wouldn't you say? Like,
of course,
there's no way this is an org or Malik picked roster. Like, there's no way. And if there is, then there's some explaining to do, right? Like, how is this the team? We'll get a guy back from Valorant. We'll bring a core together who won a major in 2018. We're now in 2022. And we haven't had two players who are star components of a team performing to a high level, and it's going to work. It's like, And then how long are we giving these guys? Are we going to continue paying them bucket loads of money to just come last? Like, we're in April right now.
It's
Yeah, I
not
mean, we
even like
don't.
their names are helping them get exposure or like a lot of brand presence
That's
because
the
people
best
are
thing.
just
They don't
shitting
do
on
any.
them.
They don't do any content. They don't do
Yeah.
anything. It's they're just there. Like that is one thing when you think about Stewie. Like Stewie is one of the biggest personalities in CS still. Like maybe not for hardcore CS fans, but if you go his Twitter, Instagram, you search on YouTube, there are like so many people that are like, Stewie, Stewie, Stewie. So that is a brand perspective. There's brand potential there, but EG are not doing anything with it. I didn't see a single piece of content from EG about anything. And I know they are losing, so that's not amazing, but they're not milking anything out of it. So it's just whatever. I made also a forum post. I said
You made it.
I
Of
made a
course.
forum post.
You
It
did
was
too. You did actually.
it was I fix EG. That was the threat. I said minus Stewie, minus Rush, plus JKS, plus Azure. And I saw SPUNJ, you also added the wonderful combination into that with the Cirque.
Yeah.
Well, I
like
think
that.
I think we're getting somewhere, man. I'm not saying this is again a top 10 team, but I feel like even if
It
you
would
just
get
do
through this. It would get through this RMR.
even
let's
if you
just
do
say
just
that.
Azure and JKS, if you manage to do that, I feel like if it's a package deal, I feel like that would be easier to sell for like both of them, and you have like a new vibe in the team, and some new blood. I feel like that already makes them a relevant fucking team, a team that's not a laughing stock anymore. Like this is, I don't want to like. I feel bad. I feel bad for Malik. He's a nice guy. I haven't spoken to him during this whole period. It's like when someone's having a bad time, you just don't want to. You don't want to see, like, it's just like move away. I know that's not great. I'm like that. It's all, yeah, whatever. Essentially, feels bad, man. It feels bad for everyone involved, but they need just an injection of something.
You found it.
I was wondering why SPUNJ seemed so familiar with the fact that you made this thread, and then you mentioned Azure, and I was like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense why you would have read this thread for sure.
It's just such an HL, like Prof is just like a forum connoisseur, because that's like an obvious thread
It's
that
a
you
shit
just have to
post.
click on. Like you're gonna get some good shit.
I mean, if it
you're
wasn't
going
my
to that.
name up there, no one would know.
Yeah,
Honestly.
no one would know. This is such a quintessential HLTV forum. I fixed somebody, man. I was just like, you have to go in. Like
This was, by the way, when they were still playing, like they're the bracket. They were like second map. I'm like, yeah, I need to fix CG right now.
Look. There's nothing that anybody can do.
Let's
There's
move on.
nothing,
Let's
like,
move on.
what
Let's
can
talk about
anybody
Europe.
do?
Let's talk about Europe.
It's over. It's over. That's it. Okay. Skinionaire?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's
Let's
do
go.
it.
Note. Let's fucking
Oh,
go.
no,
All
yeah,
right.
I feel like you've queued up some really hard NA questions or something for me.
I don't know what I did.
I didn't give Dimitri a very big lead in here, so we'll make sure we can fill a bit of time right now while Dimitri gets the necessary links available. So there's going to be one for us to view on and one for us to actually no, it's the same link. So we just need the one link. This is good. We don't have the matchmaker anymore. We've just got the Skinionaire now. Prefacing this for everybody playing at home, if you are a new viewer, maybe you're one of the very friendly people in chat who weren't happy with the segment when I was talking before. Well, what you want to do to win a potential skin that Note could be winning for you, type Bitskins in chat. See plenty of you doing it. Jump along, get on the bandwagon. No exclamation points required around here. That will put you in the draw to be the potential lucky winner when we have this quiz go down. There are 5 questions. They are multiple choice questions. Every question that is answered correctly will move the slider up. The top skin is a $50 skin, and the winner of that will be randomly drawn once we have concluded who wants to be a Skinionaire, brought to you by Bitskins. Now, let me have a look in towards TeamSpeak. I'm having a little bit of a look here, and we are good to go. We need the link, though, if you could send it our way, please, Dimitri. I normally don't save it because I'm bad at my job. So if you could shoot it into the TeamSpeak, that would be muchos apreciato. That's oh shit.
I mean, you can read it off the preview as well.
Oh, I could too. Okay, yeah.
Someone needs to click the thing.
Well, then Dimitri can click it, right?
It's like one.
There you
Okay,
go.
Dimitri will
We
click
can
it.
get
Fuck it, I'll read
Dimitri
it off the
to click
preview. Here we
Okay.
go.
Perfect.
Lock it and load it. Question number 1. Which country has the most players qualified for the major at the moment? USA, Brazil, or Canada?
Oh my goodness.
Surely,
I feel like it's got to be Brazil, right? Surely.
I'm with you right there. Has to be,
Surely.
right?
Same.
MIBR, FURIA, that's 2 entire rosters worth. Complexity,
Yeah.
they don't even have a full team of just North Americans. They
No,
have
I was convinced I gave him like some curveball question. It's
I
like,
yeah,
it has to be
I'm
Brazil.
honestly ready for it. That's
It has
why.
to be Brazil.
it's a layup.
Lock in B
First
for us,
question.
Dimitri. Bang.
Perfect.
Nailed it. All right. Question 1 correct. Let's move it forward. Question number 2. Here we go. Which player had the highest rating at the Americas RMR of 1.65? Was it A, DGT, B, OC, or C, Yuri?
What is that? 1.63?
6.5.
1.65.
5. Gotta be Yuri, right? I think I'm gonna say Yuri if they top the qualifier there.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I'm backing you in
Yeah.
here. I'm backing you with Yuri. Lock it in. We got Yuri, and the correct answer should be Yuri, but it's been incorrectly filled out by Prof. It's only 1.55.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry,
it is
Prof.
1.5.
I was like,
But
1.65 sounds really
That's
high.
that's
All
all
the
right.
same,
It's all
all
right.
the
It's
same.
just it's only 10. You know, and that's
It's I
small
didn't
details.
have my
around here.
glasses on when I was doing the quiz.
There you go. All right. Question number 3. Together with Antwerp, how many consecutive majors will Fallen have attended? 8, 10, or 13?
Consecutive majors.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a bait. It's just like all of the majors that he actually attended.
How many
I wanna
majors
say
have there been?
it's-
It's
What
not
is
going
the,
to be.
what is the first one? What is the first one?
It's
Dream
going to
Hack Winter.
be
yeah.
no.
No,
not for him,
It was
that was the first
2014,
major.
wasn't it?
Well, 2013
Cologne
was
20
the first major, but Fallen's teams only
2014
came in
was
like
open, right?
2015, right?
2015.
So I'd say
I'm
like
gonna-
minus
I'm
6
gonna say
majors from the
it's-
start, basically. So
I'm leaning towards 9.
There's 8, 10, or 13.
Oh, okay. No, then I'm leaning towards.
go
I
8.
feel like it can't be 10.
Go 8.
I can't be
Go
10. I'm gonna say 8.
8. All right.
Yeah.
Lock it in. 8. 13.
Holy. Okay. I take
Because
it back.
the first major that they attended, right, was with
How many
Kaboom.
majors have there been? 15?
No, I think it's like
16 now?
17 now.
I thought there had been 15.
Okay, I thought I was working with 15 as a
That's
base
why
number, so I guess
I was
that's the
working with
problem.
15, and I was like, 13 sounds way too much out of that.
All right. Well, that's all right. We don't often get one incorrect around here because I just at the end say that everybody wins. But let's see what happens. Let's jump into question number 4. Tyloo found to place top 2 at a single Asia minor because they lost, visa issues, disqualification.
At a
So-
what do you mean by single Asia minor? As
They-
in,
at
it
the
just
only
happened
one
once?
minor they didn't qualify. They didn't place
Oh,
top
I see.
2. And what was the reason? A, they lost. B, visa issues. Or C, disqualification.
Do you want the name of the event?
I know the event.
IEM Taipei.
Yep.
Yeah,
2016.
Taipei.
It was before Columbus.
Was it before Katowice? Since it's IEM.
I wanna say that
no,
it's
But that wasn't the major, though.
This was for the major qualifier, which was Columbus.
Were they I think I'm gonna go with that they were disqualified if it was in Taipei.
C, lock it in. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be right there. Mr. Graham Messioso
that's-
Pitt. He was
that's
the
true.
admin at the time, and they had a VAC band member on their team.
Ah, right.
It was one of the brothers. Whose brother was it? Was it
HZ was like brother of
DD?
DD?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
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 Good one. I love this question. Who made it? It's me. Okay, let's go.
Nice. All right. And question number 5. So we can only get 4 out of the 5. So $15 skin available here.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
This
Tony Black, formerly known as Kabakan, is coaching which team at the Europe RMR? Is it A, Force, B, Spirit, or C, Unique?
Not fours. Gonna lean
Nope.
towards. I don't know Spirit's coach right now, actually. I'm gonna say Unique because it's the team that I don't know between Spirit and Unique, unless it's a trick question, bro.
This one feels safe though.
Yeah,
Like it does feel like this would be the Kabakan coach team.
yeah,
But it's
exactly.
a Kazakhstani team, Unique. That would
Yeah.
be the only thing that would throw me off. But I like that we've locked it in. We've locked in C. The correct answer is
See?
C, Unique. All right. Well, 4 out of the 5 right there. Are you feeling charitable today, Prof?
No.
All right, 4 out of 5. That's it. Well, no one at home is getting the $50 skin, just the $15 skin here. Nothing being given, nothing being taken. And
Nice
we will
stuff.
be We're
has
drawing
won
the
the
winner.
giveaway.
The winner is.
Iceluff.
Oh yeah, you're right. Iceluff. Capital SLUFF. You've been following since
Oh, a long time.
yeah, the 8th of what's
May.
the 5th month, guys? What's the
May.
May. 8th of May, 2019. So good stuff, Mr. Iceluff. Our people will reach out to your people and we'll get you your skin. Unfortunate for you that it wasn't the $50 redo, but that's sometimes the way the cookie crumbles. It's free. Enjoy it. Thank you, Bitskins. Thank you, Note. All right. We're going to keep trucking forward in the show. Now, I don't think we have any more bumpers to run just yet. We're going to jump into talking about the European RMRs, which are kicking off tomorrow, actually, in 14 hours time, 13 hours time.
Yep.
Yeah, 13 hours time from now will be the first matches going on for that. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the format, it's the same as what we just ran for the Americas RMR, but we've broken up into 2 groups. So there is 32 teams. It's broken up into Group A and Group B. And each group has a certain amount of slots available for the major and different positions that are available in terms of legend, challenger, and contender. Now, Group A, let me get the link here. I'm going to send it to Dimitri, and we can bring that up whenever we get a chance. Group A is going to have Na'Vi, Heroic, Outsiders, Vitality, FaZe, Mouse, Big, Gamer Legion, Fnatic, Saw, OG, Eternal Fire, Dignitas, Unique, Force, and Quasar. And Group B we can jump to in a second. Now, if you want to know how this one's going to work as far as the format goes, we're going to have 8 best of ones played tomorrow, right? So as the opening round, 4 on the main stream, 4 on the secondary stream, and that's the opening games. They're the establishing matches. You either go into the 0-1 pool or the 1-0 pool, and from there you'll be matched up against another team and another set of best of ones to be played tomorrow afternoon/evening. Once we've done that, the following day of play will have best of 3s, where teams will either be eliminated in the 0-2 pool, or teams who are in the 2-0 pool will already go through and qualify for the major. And then we'll have a couple of 1-1 games, and the rest of they'll be best of 1s, and the rest of the games for the next 2 days will be best of 3s to determine the remaining spots. Then rinse and repeat. Do it again for Group B. That's the qualification process right there. Now, I think we definitely have a couple of favorites here that are leaping off the page. So let's start with some of the dark horses. I want to go to you, Striker, here. I want you to pick one of these names right here that you think is a dark horse, or maybe with an outsider, a puncher's chance of stealing one of these top 8 spots that people might not be keeping their eyes on too much.
Okay. I mean, the Group A is definitely the group of death. Like, there's even too many teams to choose from to even pick out like a top 8. There's like 10 teams that, like, could do it depending on matchups and stuff like that. There's basically, like, if you look at the top 8 that you have, and what Dimitri brought up, then there's like big below that. I kind of want to throw out a Dignitas out there, actually. It's not necessarily based on how they've performed lately. I actually haven't, caught up on their recent results. I know they've done okay, but nothing amazing. But then just in general, from historically, it's a team that has a lot of experience in some of these pieces, and Heap was showing some good stuff lately. So just gonna throw out there.
Okay, Dignitas. Now, obviously, that's the team with Forest, Freiburg, Hauser, Keep, and Lekro. Right, Lekro is like that sleeper edition that I think a lot of people forget that it made that move over there, but quite a solid piece to have, and coached by Pitta, right? So I think as far as a team goes who could be on that cusp, Dignitas would definitely be one of those. Is anybody, Prof?
Not really coached by Peter at this event, at least.
Yeah, he can be.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's actually their analyst Shedden
those rules.
who stepped in.
Okay,
Those stupid rules.
Oh, I saw Art tweeting about him.
Dumb
He ain't
rules, I
happy
think
with
he
it.
said it.
Isn't it fair enough that Art isn't happy with it though, just for a sidebar? Because wasn't it that Gary wasn't even sitting at the PC?
That's the
Yes.
claim, right? Like, we just don't. There's just no real evidence to it, so that's just difficult to say.
Well, I think
Obviously, like.
The big problem with that is that Gary literally submitted evidence of their voice comms, his POV, and everything he possibly could, and to the point where ESIC gave him such a reduced penalty, but then Valve banned him just based purely on the number of rounds that it happened.
Right.
So he had like a lower ESIC ban than most other coaches who have a shorter major ban than he does. Doesn't really make sense in the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that does sound a little bit funky, doesn't it? Hopefully, ESIC and Valve can get into a room and have a bit of a conversation, or maybe someone can get some sense going their way. All right. No, do you have anybody here who you think leaps off the page at you, who we should be keeping our eye on here? We've heard Dignitas from Striker. Do you echo the sentiments? Do you think that there's another name here that you would be keeping your eyes on? You could even say Fnatic at this point.
I actually wrote down all of my picks for the stage.
Shit.
But
Okay.
I think out of the teams in the lower end, I would say the Big are the team that I think will sneak through as a 3-2 team.
Okay.
So I would say that they're the closest to like a sleeper pick I have there.
But then
But I don't
at
think
the
they're
expense
really a
of who is
sleeper
the
pick.
question, I think.
Yeah.
I guess
At
Fnatic,
the
right?
expense of Fnatic, yeah.
Yeah.
I have all the
That's fair.
other teams above them making it through. So
Well, this is the thing, right? I think
So-
we all think that the likes of Navi, Heroic, Outsiders, which is Virtus Pro, Outsiders, Vitality, FaZe, Mouse. Like, are we saying Mouse is a lock as well here?
I don't think like that. Those like three, 4 edge teams. I think even Vitality throwing into that. Like I feel like that's
Really?
kind of like
Okay.
all. I'm not necessarily sure. Like one of those teams will just have to go out. I feel like it's almost like we can't get a perfect scenario where all of these 8 teams, like it's just going to match up in a way where it's not going to be possible even for these 8 teams to go through. So like one of these teams will definitely not be through.
No one's getting excited about Woxic and Zentaras with Calix in
Yes.
it.
Yes.
There you
Okay,
go.
here we
I
go.
was waiting
Here
for
we
my
go. Come
waiting
on,
for my
Prof.
time, man. This is the team. This is the team. Turkish players on LAN without their 80 ping, packet loss, power issues, whatever the fuck that's happening. Honestly, fucking Zantaris, Woxic on LAN. What is the last time you saw Woxic on LAN, man? When do you
2019.
see him? When's the last time you saw him play on a normal internet? Like this is gonna be. I'm not saying they're gonna go through. I'm not gonna go that far.
What?
But they have a potential to be a 3-2. They have potential to do that. The results were not that crazy. Like I'm scrolling through their results. They lost a bunch of times to like Apex and Skate, but beat a lot of these other teams. But are they exciting? Yes. Are they the team that I want to watch the most out of like most of these teams here? Almost. I'd say yes. Like I'd say
Okay.
yes. Their first game, unfortunately, it's against FaZe. Very
That's rough,
unfortunate.
but
It's very unfortunate.
it
But
is-
then they go 0-1, and then the crawl up starts. I see an internal fire victory.
okay. All right. Look, I can get behind that. I think that Woxic on LAN is always an exciting prospect. Zentaris too, right? When was the last time you saw the two of them communicating in their native tongue on LAN together? I bet you
Woxic is
can't.
calling, by the way.
Isn't
And
that crazy?
Since they swapped from Zantaris to Woxic, they actually improved a shit ton. Literally, that's when if you go on the HLTV page and see the ranking, that's when the upward trajectory starts. Yeah, they're 42nd in the world right now, but it's hard for a team like this to actually consistently like climb the rankings without some breakout performance. And this could be it. Like as Striker said, we won't have the top 8 going through. That's impossible. We won't have 8 out of the top 9 going through. Like at least 1 or 2 teams are gonna make an upset. I was thinking like this morning, I was talking to Maniac. I'm like, Navi, a lot of things going on there. Maybe they're not going to go through. But then looking at this lineup of teams, I think that's impossible. Like we'll have FaZe, Navi, Heroic for sure, Outsiders. I think those 4 are complete lock-ins. Then you go into Vitality. I have no fucking clue what's going to happen there. I still have faith in the players and everything, but the team has been playing like absolute trash. And then Fnatic, Mouse, OG, Big. One of those, like two of those teams might not go through. I feel like.
Isn't it crazy that like OG is like a team that we're discussing might not go through? Like it does seem wild with the players on that team, but it just happens too often, doesn't it? Or it has happened too often that it's like.
It's also how the split kind of fell, because like if you look at B, there's definitely much more leeway in terms of like there's maybe like 6 teams that you kind of like consider, and then like the other 2 spots are probably pretty open. But like in A, it's basically 10 teams who could on a day make it through. So it's just it definitely didn't go particularly well in terms of the seeding, and
I
that
actually
went
have
because
OG
of
through as a 3-1 team.
OG through as a 3-1. Okay.
I think.
Oh,
so.
you have it even down like this.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah,
let's go
I
through
wrote
it.
it
I
all
want to
down.
hear this.
Have you
I
looked at all the matchups? Have you used that calculator to look
No,
at
I
who
didn't
plays
look through the
who?
matchup calculator. I looked at the teams and I just straight up wrote them down.
Okay.
I
If
didn't even look
anybody
at
in
the
chat
matchups.
could link that as well, just because I actually have lost where I had that link, that would be good for my casting tomorrow. But yeah, run us through what you've got here. Run us through what you're thinking in terms of all these squads.
I had FaZe Navi as 3-0. I think that's just generally going to be where I think things land with the caliber of the teams.
Okay.
And
Wait,
then I
who do you have
had
as 3? Sorry.
FaZe Navi.
I think they
Navi,
might
okay.
play each other though. That's the thing. Like this is what
Would they?
well, I think that's what Carrigan said
Would-
in an interview.
They might do the 2-0 game. I think the 2-0 game when they might meet because I think Outsiders is the 2nd seed here.
Are the
Is
links?
Outsiders second seed? I
give me one
thought
second.
No,
Navi
I don't
Navi
know.
were first second.
I don't know how they make the schedule in terms of the.
Well, I'm pretty
seeds,
sure
so-
FaZe are in top 2 though. Top 2 seed
I
anyway.
see. People are
Are
saying
that's
they
that
probably
would
why.
beat
based
them.
on the last major, or then it would be Heroic second seed?
Well, for the teams that went through from the last major, yes. Then Navi would be first, and then Heroic would be second. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And then
you're
FaZe
right.
and Outsiders third
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fourth.
Yeah, because they both went out in quarterfinals.
No,
Oh
actually,
no way, FaZe were behind actually. Even that was they didn't make it through the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
If they,
I
if
have
they
that.
don't
Fourth,
meet, I
fifth,
have
or
them
whatever.
going through 3-0 then.
Here we go.
Yeah,
If they
okay.
do meet,
Do your list. Do your list.
yeah, if they don't meet, I have them both going through 3-0. If they do end up meeting, then I would say that FaZe will go through 3-0, and then probably Outsiders would also go through 3-0. Otherwise, like my original list had OG Heroic Outsiders is 3-1, and then Vitality Mouse and Big is 3-2.
Do you want to do this? I actually linked the
Let's do it. Let's whack it in, Dimitri. Let's go through
The
them all.
calculator.
Dimitri, bring this
Yeah,
up. Let's go through this, and we're assuming this is correct. I don't fact check any of this bullshit. Maybe it's correct, maybe it's not. It hasn't.
I mean, it's been pretty
bang on?
pretty good. I think it's been good so far. I saw one thing that kind of confused me because it just matched up the wrong teams in the Americas RMR, but I'm not sure if it got fixed in the meantime. I'm not exactly sure, but let's just say it's right.
All right,
I'm
let's
not
run with it
100%
as
sure.
gospel, and if it's wrong, you can blame somebody else. Now, I have a little sidebar here that I need for somebody at home to do this. If you know how to pronounce the players' names in Quasar, I would like you to let me know, especially the first gentleman's name.
Via audio message.
I need
Video?
to know how what.
Audio message, video. What do you?
I feel like
I just need
Man, somebody-
LA3EUKA.
somebody told me how to pronounce this
Laukia?
actually, or something. No, the 3 is gonna be some like a sound, whatever.
And is-
whatever.
Z probably.
Is FROTHE frothy? Because that's what we'd call a beer.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to
mean-
be saying frothy? Spirit's easy, Shady's easy, Faxor's easy, but is it frothy? Frother? Froth?
We have a resident.
Dimitri? Do you know?
There you
so
go.
we're fucked.
No idea. Never
Well-
mind. Doesn't matter now.
People are saying Lazikia? Lazika?
Yeah,
Lazika?
three. It would be a Z most likely, from
Maybe,
my
yeah.
knowledge.
3 would be a Z.
Yeah,
What
Oh, well,
fucking
I
planet
mean-
are we living on, boys? I can't.
bro. Imagine there being different like letters and shit, and like
Doesn't matter.
just imagine that.
All right.
Just click
well-
click to Europe A.
Oh yeah,
on
at the top there, Dimitri. Yeah, where it says Europe A, hit that bad boy, and then we'll go through all of these matches here.
The full
So,
screen is the shit.
You can't. Well, I look.
I mean, I
he'll
put-
bring
I
up the
put
link,
the-
and then you
yeah.
can follow
It-
along, Prof. on your
Yeah,
own
but my
little
laptop
computer.
can't open.
Oh yeah,
can't-
fair enough.
can't
I
open
mean, you
more.
can just
Get fucking
kind of
wrecked,
trot
man.
along.
All right, here we go. Let's go with this. So we think Navi. Everyone's in agreement there, right?
Yeah.
Over Quasar.
Yeah.
Heroic over Fours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. VP
Outsiders
over
over
Unique.
unique. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Do we think all the favorites are gonna win here? Actually, we get down the end.
I think OG beats Mouse in the opener. Actually,
I won't argue with that.
Yeah.
Anyone-
I can
support-
get
I
behind
can
that. Yeah.
support.
Okay, nice. Big over Saw.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fnatic to beat Gaming Legion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
guess we need to
I
click
mean-
this, or how do we?
Yeah.
Dimitri need
needs
to
to
do
click
it, right?
place
So,
it.
Dimitri, just for the OG Mouse game, click on OG. And then for the Gamer Legion Fnatic game, click on Fnatic.
Last one, yeah.
And then the rest of them,
There we
they're all right. Okay, so that's going to set us up with the next set of matches. Navi OG, Heroic versus Fnatic, VP versus Big, Vitality versus FaZe, Jesus, Mounds
Phase
versus
for
Quasar,
there must be the pick.
yes.
Gamer Legion versus. We should just take this one at a time, shouldn't
Yeah.
I? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just go on one at a time.
you want to
yeah.
pick FaZe over Vitality? Yeah. Change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pick FaZe for
Yep.
us, Dimitri. I think
You
yeah,
are,
Mouse over
by the way,
Quasar.
guys.
Gamer Legion versus Fours is a weird one.
Could be an interesting one. Yeah. Who the fuck
Who
knows?
knows?
Coin toss.
Yeah. I mean, just based on experience, I'd put it to Fours.
Okay, let's do it. Let's put it with Fours.
You know, it's like the first
I'll
time
saddle
Game
up
League
there.
can play anywhere at this level. I know Fours have an entirely new lineup, but it's still,
Basically
you know,
just Jerry.
some new
Yeah.
names like
Just
Jerry.
Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with Saw because we got to
It's
keep the
back, Jerry.
Portuguese happy, right? So let's stick with Saw, and then Dignitas versus Internal Fire. Now, Internal Fire, Jesus. Eternal Fire. This is a hard one. That's a hard
Could
one
be
to
a hard
call.
one.
So
I mean, I said Dignitas, so I'm down to pick
I'm
Dignitas,
on
but I
eternal
don't know.
finer.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Finer.
You got
Eternal over finer.
internal fighter. Okay.
no, who are you guys?
You two guys have to.
No, I'll give it
decide.
to no. That way, because otherwise we could have a tie.
I would give it to Dignitas there.
All right, click
Fire.
Dignitas for us there.
So
Dimitri.
one thing I want to note before we get into the next round is that if Gamer Legion win, then it is Navi versus FaZe. If Fours win, then it's split matchups in the next round.
Well, we're going with this.
Yeah, let's just go with this. Fuck it. Let's just.
You don't need
I'm,
to
I'm,
just
no,
scroll
we're going
down.
with this.
You don't
I'm
need to
just,
see
I'm
all
just
of
saying
it.
for the point of whether they would get matched up or
Right.
not.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right,
We were
right.
talking
All right.
about.
Okay.
That's
So-
all.
FaZe versus Heroic. FaZe. Anyone gonna argue that?
Yeah, we have
I'd
to
say
go
I
with
think
FaZe.
FaZe. You
All
have
right.
to go
Click
with
on
that.
FaZe for us.
Navi.
Dimitri.
Navi Outsiders is could be pretty contentious.
Let's go Navi. Let's play it safe.
Favorite wise, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's go Navi. Vitality over Saw. I think
Yeah.
we go Vitality. Big versus Dignitas.
Could be an interesting one potentially, but I guess we have to go with big, right?
Do we?
I'm on big.
I would say big as well. Yeah.
I'm big
fuck
on
it.
big.
All right, we'll go with big. Let's go with big. OG over Fours. I'd be happy with that.
Yep.
Yep.
Mouse or Fnatic.
I'd go
take
with Mouse, yeah.
Okay, Prof, you want to be the deciding vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have too much faith in Fnatic.
I'm gonna go with Eternal Fire over Gamer Legion though.
Shout out to Messi in chat if he's still here.
Can we? Anyone would pick Gamer Legion over?
I go Eternal Fire.
No, I would go
Okay.
Eternal Fire. I do it. Yeah.
Eternal
That's Eternal Fire.
Hope it's
Unique
gonna be
versus-
external, not an internal fire for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unique versus Quasar. I don't think it matters. We need to see the player
Regardless,
before we can really start put. So let's just leave it with Unique.
Should
All right,
be.
scroll us down, Dimitri. We're
All right,
gonna
so
get
that would have FaZe and Navi in top 2. Yep.
I might need a couple of seconds. And by the way, you're loading
Yes?
me shamelessly, given this is my first time.
Yeah, no, but this is
Okay.
you. First of all, you're nailing it. It's been seamless. We haven't had anything go wrong right now. So
That's literally better job than Lucas already. Good job.
Well,
hey, everything's fine.
I'm pleased, but I can't scroll it down for some reason. It's
Okay.
just not happening.
All right, look, the little problems at the time here.
That's
You can
okay.
take it
We
off the
can-
screen
we
if you
can-
want to
I'll
sort
do
it
it.
out.
Honestly,
Jinxed.
if we
Totally
can't
jinxed.
if we can't go further, I think this is like
Let's
our
leave it at this.
this is our we can continue, like we can understand more or less how this is gonna play out, because now we're gonna have like a FaZe versus Navi for a
No,
No,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean for the
They'd both get legend
they're,
spots.
they're, they're both
Yes.
good legends.
FaZe Navi through, and then we have like a Vitality OG
Vitality
or
Heroic.
Mouse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Vitality Heroic, OG Big, Outsiders Mouse. Yeah, that we get into the good stuff at that
Yeah.
point for sure.
But at that point, like we're really predicting super far, and
Yeah, it
like
could be-
one of
could be
these,
anybody, yeah.
as Note said, like one of these stupid. If like Force wins or Gamer Legion, everything
Yeah.
changes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's no point in going too deep. I feel like.
yeah,
I,
sure.
this is PRing. I just saved you, Dimitri. Here, it's all good.
Hey.
Whoa, whoa.
Well, it gets a little bit harder to see at this range.
Spoke
but
too soon.
Hey, all
Oh,
right now.
perfect.
Fucking hell, we smashed
There we
it. You
go.
did PR, but he did the tech issues, so it's
There
a
we go.
bang
we
bang.
We can go on.
Yeah, let's
I
bang
think
through
we
it.
need to update the thing. Is it?
Did you reset it or not?
I think
If
it's
you
reset.
refreshed,
I
it might
have
have
no
reset.
idea.
no, I think
no,
it's- I
it's
think
fine.
it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
That looks
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So round 4. Round 4. So we know that Navi and FaZe will be through. Okay. So where are we looking here? Let's take
Outsiders Mouse. That's
Outsiders.
where we start.
Outsiders.
Yeah,
Yep.
Outsiders.
OG
OG Big.
I might even go OG.
OG.
I take
yeah,
OG.
surely.
It's like the wrong call, but I'd go OG
wrong call.
because OG let us down as much as Big do.
Oh,
You know
fair
what I
enough.
mean? This is a game. Heroic versus
Heroic Vitality.
Vitality. That's a
Could be
game.
interesting.
I think you'd
Uh,
have to go Heroic though, wouldn't you?
I mean, based on recent history, for sure. Like it's like Vitality, you just have to pick just based on a feeling that they'll actually get better. That's basically the feeling that I have.
Heroic in groups. Shout out to Cadian.
I maybe missed the reference.
I mean, that's the whole Heroic against Vistralis, Kid against.
From the tweets that we.
whatever,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Doesn't matter.
Saw versus Fours.
Who the fuck knows?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I haven't seen Saul play in a long time, actually.
Wha-
I mean,
Let's.
Boars either, to be fair.
Prof, you pick.
I think it's Force.
You don't think Stadodo is going to get it done?
Stadodo is legendary. Bozorti is also, so
And we like Jerry.
and I know Force is good, and we can't underrate CIS teams at major qualifiers.
That's
That's
fair.
true.
That's a good angle, actually. I like it.
Okay, that's all right. All right. Let's go with Fours. Dignitas. Let's go Dignitas.
Yep.
Fnatic versus Eternal Fire. Elimination.
Yeah, I mean that would be the match that kind of like decides the one team, you know, that
Alex
goes over.
Alex
basically.
Woxic.
Ooh.
After kicking Woxic
Oh. In
Oh,
the
that is spicy.
loins.
Give us that
Just
game.
give
I'd
it,
like
give
that.
it to Eternal, give it to Eternal Fire just based on that, man. Like that's gonna be an Eternal Fire for sure.
Okay. All right. I like it. We're outside the box here. Fair enough.
Yeah, give
Okay.
it
So
to
this
Eternal
is
Fire,
going to
very
leave
good.
us with Vitality versus Eternal Fire, Big versus Fours.
No,
and
Vitality.
Wait,
no,
Vitality
yeah, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Is it?
Yeah. And then it would be Mounds versus Dignitas for the final spots in the group. I think we have to go Vitality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Big versus Fours is, again, Prof, you want to use the same argument? We can't underestimate CIS teams.
I take big there.
Yeah, I mean, I would take Big as well.
Come on, big have to be better than this.
Okay. Let's go Big and then Mounds Dignitas. Maui's not here, otherwise he'd be.
I don't know. I don't understand the Dignitas hype. So I actually
Mounds?
realized
No,
that
I mean, I would do-
Striker is a massive Forest fanboy. I just
Right,
remembered
it's very
this
true,
now.
actually. I'll cop to that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, yeah.
If there's somebody to fanboy, like you have to fanboy Forest, especially if you're of my age.
All right, so we go with Mouse. So then we have FaZe, Navi, OG, Heroic, VP, Vitality, Big, Mouse. I think that would be the majority of the teams that people would expect. Other than and it's on the
we
cusp.
finished with the exact.
This is the
lineup,
exact pool that I said.
Oh, really?
Well,
yeah, like the exact matchups that I gave.
Bang bang.
the
There we go.
exact
And
pool.
we did it by a democracy. So it wasn't. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, that's how we think Group A is going to shake out everybody.
Tell us how you think. Go down in the comments, leave your reply. Also, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share it with your friends if you like this video.
But you should honestly post comments in YouTube because Prof does read them. He even replies. Okay, so do we want to do Group B as well?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
all right, Dimitri, we're going to put you on the spot here. Go back up to the top and then hit Europe Group B, and we'll do it all again. Now you've got the hang of it. If you guys want the link, I'll spam it in the chat right now. Here you go. Here it is.
Because you guys in chat are like spamming so much, my computer is overheating, so I had to close the chat. So just in case someone is writing stuff to me, yeah, I'm not watching this time.
They're not saying anything to you right now. They're just saying, "Don't click lost wife." So
that's another quintessential HLTV post.
Okay, we are ready and raring to go. Okay, G2 over Anonymo. I think everyone happy with that. Players over Sangal. NIP over M.
Oh, the players logo threw me off hard. I was like, well, who the fuck is that?
That's like a
baseball logo.
It reminds me of, you guys remember like Dada? Like from actually maybe no one's as old.
Probably
as me.
not.
From Star Trek.
Probably not.
No, like it was like a streetwear brand back when I was like fucking 14. That
is that like Bad and Mad?
I don't know what that is. So, I don't know. Let's see if I can find. Anyway, it's unimportant. Either way, Fubu. There you go. There you go. Now you nailed it right there. Okay.
Man, too old even for me. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Fubu's bang on. All right, Entropic.
Bad Eagles.
Yes,
Bad
that
News
is
Eagles,
Bad News
there you go.
Eagles.
They're gonna
Copenhagen
be
Flames
out.
versus Sprout. Do we think? Okay. Do you think
there
Entropic could
anything?
beat? I mean, you think Bad News Eagles could beat
I'm gonna
Entropic?
shill for them hard, but maybe not in this matchup.
Yeah,
They're
not
better
here.
ones. I'm gonna use my chips.
Shill
on-
card.
Yeah, I'm gonna shill
later.
coin. Shill coin gonna be put down, and another
Heat Sinners could be an interesting one, I guess. But Sinners have been
I
pretty
would still
shit
go with
lately.
Heat, man.
Yeah.
Like you've lost your boy Oscar.
Sinners,
I know
Sinners
everyone's.
haven't been that amazing.
I'm hearing
lately,
good things about the new Orpa, but it's not Oscar.
Horsey's
so.
pretty good, yeah.
Let's leave it with all the favorites. Okay,
Yeah,
so let's
makes
go down
sense
to the
for
second
round
column. G2 over Heat. Now, in a best of
Yes.
one, I think Heat could win. But I'm not gonna say that. Like, I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna
No,
lock that in.
I think that would be
G2
crazy.
I
to do.
still think.
They'd have to like do something stupid. I feel like in the veto for that to happen.
Okay, so let's leave it at G2.
Yeah.
Does anybody think the Ents will beat players?
I feel like that's
that's an avenue,
very
actually, yeah.
possible.
That's
honestly,
possible.
I'd say like it's closer to 50-50 than maybe a lot of people think.
So, but where do we want to go with players, or do we want to go with Ents? Someone's gonna need to vote.
Someone
Is
give us
there
a
like a-
pitch. Give us a pitch how it would happen.
What map would it end up being?
Well,
Like,
I think
what I was
I think
trying to
it's a
figure
weird
out.
matchup for them too. Have they played it before? They must have played each other at some point, right? Wait, I'm gonna check actually.
I'm trying to think like if it ends up on a Mirage or a Dust 2, It can't end up on Inferno, which actually helps out Gambit a little bit. It's not going to be. Nope,
I'm more like
gonna
thinking stylistically.
be
Okay, the last
Nuke.
time they played
There's
was
no
in
Nuke.
Stockholm, actually.
An overpass for Ents, maybe if Ents could get it to overpass or Ancient. I think Dust 2 or Mirage. They didn't look great on Dust 2 or Mirage versus FaZe.
Very
I think
interesting
it's a bad
stylistic
matchup for
class.
Ents, honestly. I think it's a
Yeah.
bad matchup for Ents. Just
It's a bad
stylistically for
matchup?
sure. Because like Gambit are just way too safe and stuff like that. And Ents like to do a
Yeah.
lot of crazy shit. I think Gambit's players, whatever, will beat them.
Okay.
Just based on stylistic differences.
All right. I'll side with the general consensus. Like I the more I think in a best of 3, I would actually favor Ents.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, maybe not. Actually, they're not going to get Nuke, are they?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I
True.
think the map pool for players is just too strong
Yeah.
against
And
them.
because they could pick Vertigo into Ents as well. Yeah.
Well, it's gonna
okay.
be a best of 1, so that
Yeah.
doesn't
Okay. Well,
really
let's go
matter.
with players. NIP versus Astralis.
Well, we're assuming this is Brolin playing and not Device essentially. Like that's basically what we're assuming here, right?
Yeah. I don't think Device is coming back.
If it's Ancient, Astralis. If it's any other map, NIP.
Well, NIP can avoid it, right? They can avoid.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they also think they have a really good Ancient.
Yeah,
Like-
it's a solid map. I
That'll
feel like
be,
they don't have to risk it, I suppose.
Yeah, that'd be very weird. Yeah, I can
I
go,
go
with
with
NIP.
NIP. I think it's
They're
fine.
not gonna have a primary
our two
AWP,
favorite
though.
doors. Our two favorite doors, Chad.
They're not going to have an AWPer though. They're not going to have a primary AWPer. It'll be Tag. It'll be Rez. It'll be Hampus.
They've been in the situation, man.
Okay.
I think they'll be fine with that one.
Copenhagen Flames or Entropic. I want to go for the
Ooh.
Flames.
I take the Flames here too.
Up Flames. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
fine. I'm
Sure.
fine with that.
Didn't they play? They played at the last major, didn't they? Maybe I'm crazy.
Maybe
They were both.
No, both
They
of
were
them.
both in the last round, and they
And both lost.
Flames lost to an IP, and then Entropic lost to somebody else. I don't remember
Yeah.
who, but I think they might have met in the meantime. Whatever.
Let's go on.
Yeah,
Sinners?
Sinners or
So we
Anonymous.
went with Flames.
Sinners, yes.
I guess
Spirit or
Sinners.
Sangal, yes.
Ava endpoints.
And
Let's go with Endpoint. Let's go with Mighty Max.
Yeah.
Sure.
Get Mighty
I'll
Max
take
some
Endpoint.
love.
I don't. Yeah, I can't really split
Bad
these
News
two.
Eagles.
This
I
is
reckon
where
they've
I
got
put
it.
them down. These are chips are on the table. Bad News Eagles
Over
destroy
Sprout?
Sprout.
Okay.
It's gonna be a bloodbath. They won't
Who's-
know what hit them.
Who says no?
Bad News
I
Eagles,
don't
I think
have a
they could take it. I don't
yeah.
have a good sense of either of them.
Look,
All right,
Sprout
to
have
make a
been
definitive
like
decision.
Sprout were okay at the EPL, but it's not like they were amazing. They just had some good moments. So I feel like that's not an argument for them. So I feel like Bad News Eagles could take it.
All right, you're gonna get your way there, Prof. All right, NIP versus Flames in a best of 3. Ooh.
For me, this is the Flames. This is where the Flames.
Wow, we're just backing Flames to go
This-
3-0, huh?
This is where
Well-
Flames go 3-0.
Okay.
They're a major team. They're a major
That's-
team striker. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we're basing this on one major, but fair enough. Fair enough.
Better than no majors, right?
That's fair.
Now, I wanna go against this because I think Hampus is a G, and Prof, you used to think so too. I can't believe you've turned your back on Hampus.
The thing is, I realize he doesn't have that much influence on the team, and that's not really a G-like thing to do.
I think he's got more influence than we would expect. How do you think they got Brolin?
They paid
They
$600.
paid a lot. They paid a lot.
I
of
would
money.
say if it was up to old mate Jonas, that they would still have Fuzi.
No way.
No,
What do you
I don't
mean?
think so.
What do you guys mean?
I think
Their
if
system
anything,
is amazing.
whatever.
Are you guys not listening to the PR? Am I the
Yeah.
only one reading it?
Well, you can't argue.
Look,
there's-
I will give them this. They're putting their money where their, well, I guess not where their mouth is, because they just claimed that the setup that they had before was amazing and they didn't need any more players. But clearly they did. Anyway,
Yeah, but who do you think made this happen?
Yeah.
I guarantee it's the
Doesn't-
brain trust of Threat, DJL, and Hampus going, we want Brolin.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you need like super smart people to analyze. Oh, Brolin's the best player in Sweden, and we're a Swedish team, so let's sign this guy.
So you're telling me that you think that Jonas went, let's get Brolin.
I think so.
I
Actually,
think
knowing Nohte, Jonas, like to a certain degree, I feel like he's the type of a guy who just go, I want Brolin. Can we get Brolin?
Honestly,
Can we get the money to buy
That
Brolin,
would that's
please?
Heecham. I reckon Heecham would have gone, can I get Brolin? I reckon Jonas would have gone, who haven't we used from our academy team yet?
honestly, if Jonas is anything like me, he probably opened HLTV, saw the forums. I fixed NIP. He went inside,
That was
saw free
Brolin.
tips, fixed NIP just like this, buying Brolin.
And look,
Uh,
I'll give it to NIP just based on they've been too good in these situations before. Like I've bet against them too many times not to do it again. You know.
I just believe in Brolin being on this team, and I think that they would just overpower
Prof's out
Copenhagen
3 to
Flames
1.
in the end here.
Literally new player coming into the lineup. Some maybe role clashes there with Hampus. They both like to play their ballsy YOLO style. I have all the cards in my hands, essentially doing what they want on the server. There's gonna be some friction there. No op. Who's gonna op? S attack? I mean, we saw how that went in Cloud9. You're so
It's not
convinced
like they
about
needed
this?
a good opera until then. Now, like, what are we talking about? Like, they barely had an opera up until this point.
Yeah, this is Striker, designated Uzi hater. Everyone in the chat. People see it in the YouTube comments. Like, why does Striker hate this guy? So yeah, you pick NIP. You live with it.
I'm picking. I'm writing on best Swedish player world.
There you go.
Look, you've lost 3 to 1 here, Prof. You put
That's
up a
fair.
valiant effort. You
Or
put up
I
a valiant
won
fight.
3-1, depending on the results.
Okay, all right. G2 versus Gambit. Who we got taking this one? The Childish Gambinos or the G2?
That's actually a really hard match.
It is.
The thing is, like, what the fuck do we expect from G2? They were like in such a weird spot at EPL, and obviously, you know, they had this like situation with Alexi and whatever, and they couldn't whatever. And once they couldn't use the coach, then they couldn't use Alexi, you know, in the past. So it's like it's really hard to gauge where G2 are still after these last couple of events that they played in Katowice and EPL. So it's just really difficult.
I don't know who to
G2.
pick. G2? You think?
I'm leaning G2 like 55-45, I would say.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have played an official in like 4 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Consistency wise, best of 3.
Like, well, they would have played 2 games. Never mind.
Like,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, fuck it. G2. Fuck it. Let's go. Prof?
I was gonna use that as an argument for players, but it doesn't
G2.
matter. Like, we can go G2.
I think both teams will get through. Like, it's just
I feel like this group, although is overall weaker,
it's hard.
The group A is like top teams right here, and then you know
the middle
drop
pack
off is very big. And this is like very just like gradual.
Yeah.
I don't know where my camera is or where. Like it's just like a slight curve going down like this. So it's a lot of different things can happen here, and especially because it's Swiss, you know, a lot of these matchups are much closer than the ones that we had in the first group. So it can be, you know, we can pick something here and might not look anything near like similar to that in the end.
Yep. Let's go with. I agree with that sentiment. Let's go with G2.
Thank you.
Entropic versus Spirit. What do we even expect from this? No, I don't want to get in a full conversation about Spirit anyway.
Nah, Spirit has
we don't really have a lot of expectations on Spirit, I would say.
Okay, Entropic. Ents versus the Bad News Eagles.
Ents.
I'm seeing how many chips you got left. You got anything else to go on in?
So wait for the next matchup.
You're gonna fold.
Yeah,
on
I'm gonna fold this hand.
All right. I think Heat should be endpoint, right? Like Body and the boys, Lucky, those guys. Anyone think that endpoint?
They've just been in pretty good form. So I feel like it'll be hard to bet against them in some of these matchups they've played. You know, they've played a lot of these teams all the time lately. So
I do want to see this Burrows kid on LAN though, right?
Form.
Like,
what's sorry?
I want to see this Burrows kid on LAN.
I said the losing to Imperial is great form.
Did they lose to Imperial?
No, that was Falcons.
No,
oh my God. That's the other French team.
I was like, there's no way
that
was
Kyojin's boys. Kyojin and
because
Python.
I knew
and
Imperial haven't beaten top 30 team, and this is a top 30 team.
Heat are actually good. Astralis against Sinners. We have to go Astralis there. Sprout or Ave. I don't know. Ave is kind of a very underdog story to even be here. I don't think we back them at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to just have to go into them. Oh, they changed. Ave changed organizations, right? They're going to play as something else, SG or something like that.
Yeah, true.
Is it ASG? Am I crazy? It's something like that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is ASG.
ASG.
Yeah.
They don't have a logo on HLTV, so
They haven't updated it. They actually, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter.
and then Sangal Anonimo.
So we're going with Sprout, right? In that one?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Sangal, I think they win. And I think this lad Corey is like Hungarian, Serbian, whatever. This guy
Okay.
played some like local tournaments in the Asia region, and now he's kind of good. So someone to watch out for a bit.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next round, we got players versus Stralis. I think players there.
I'd take
Yeah.
players there.
Yeah. Flames versus Ents is actually a good series.
Yeah, would still pick Ents. Like it's
Okay.
hard to bet against Ents after this EPL run.
Okay. I got some nods there. I saw a note. I saw
Current
Prof
form, I
nodding.
would take Ents, yeah.
Okay. Entropic versus Heat is a curious one. I haven't
interesting.
seen enough of Heat play. Like I know they play a lot, but they're not in the tier 1 games. So like I don't see them often, right? They're
Yeah.
playing like the ESL Challenger events and shit. They haven't. This would be their chance to actually break through with this team. So if they're, I think I would just back. I would back Entropic here, right? But this, I think the Heat have a chance. Like I think that this is definitely could be a breakout of it. But I would just back Entropic here just based off the fact they're a known quantity.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that.
Spirit versus Sprout. I could actually go for Sprout in this.
Yeah, would also go for Sprouts.
Same.
Just in line with not having belief in Spirit at the moment.
Who else we get here in the so this
Bad
is
News Eagle
Bad
and
News
Sungal.
Eagles over Sungal, I think. Yeah.
I think Bad
Sure.
News Eagles
Yeah, why
are
not?
favorites here.
Okay, and then Endpoint, I would say over Sinners.
Endpoint over Sinners?
Yeah.
Mm,
Kind of
that's
like
a toss-up.
50-50 for sure.
We haven't really given much shine to Endpoint or Sinners, really.
I haven't seen either of them play enough to really have like a firm decision either way there.
Well, you can have the say here, Striker. Do you have faith in your lads, or do you
Then
think
I'll take
it's-
Sinners. There you go.
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
you will.
There you go. You can have them. You can. It's here nor there at this juncture.
Yeah, I really don't know.
Neofrag is better than any player on Endpoint. Write it down.
That is true.
Okay, fair
That is
enough.
true.
Flames over Sinners.
Yeah.
Heat over Sprout, and then Astralis versus Bad News Eagles.
Well, we have to go with
It's
this.
gotta be
honestly.
Astralis.
Don't
It
have
has
enough
to
chips
be.
for this one.
No,
I could listen to a good argument though, Prof, if you got one.
I'm trying to manufacture
A storyline.
multiverse where this happened, but it is literally like the Marvel thing. It's like 1 in a million.
But if we were going to go
Essentially-
for one, would this be the one?
I think it's really hard to see this. It had to be that like crazy underdog situation where pressures on Astralis mounting. They like lost some games that they shouldn't, but like their run until this point, I think they beat the teams that they should beat and lost the teams that they should lose. Like in our imaginary run, right? And I don't
Yeah.
see how they would like playing this game be like completely caught off guard. Like, and by
Right.
this point, also kind of what Bad News Eagles strengths are, and that would be like individual strength, just like backing themselves all around the map, what map pool they have, and what to ban and pick to just put them in a comfortable situation. Yeah, and just like I don't know, I think it's very hard. I think if they finish 2-3 here, that would be like a good result for them. They should be happy, but like yeah, I think it's really hard to see them make it to the major.
No 9Z storyline, massive celebrations, tears.
Yeah,
nothing.
unfortunately, they're not playing the Americas RMR, so
Okay. All right. So
we'd have players going through as legends in this. By the way, just to explain, the 2-3-0s get legends, but in the 3-1 pool, only one of them gets legends, and there's no rematches or like tiebreaker matches like there were in Americas, because like they all go through. It's just decided who gets legends and challenges based on Buchholz, and based on Buchholz it would be Gambit players.
okay.
Wait,
'cause,
isn't there a third place decider
there's a 4th place decider though.
in RMRA?
I just saw that.
Isn't it 3
And
legends?
Is
there's
there
a
again?
third
Did they
place-
change it again,
Yeah,
or-
there's a decider in each of the RMRs for
Did they
3rd
change
and
it
4th
again?
place.
We should know that, Prof. It's on our schedule.
It wasn't
There
there
is
until
there is a tiebreaker in
Yeah.
our schedule.
Oh, there's
All-
a 4th place decider match, but
Yeah.
just one. Oh yeah, they skip one team actually gets. I forgot there is one, but one team just gets automatically eliminated. Like the bottom team in the group in A, gets eliminated, and then in B it's
Not
the
eliminated.
other
You
way.
mean like eliminated from this
Yeah,
kind of
not
discussion?
eliminated, but
let's
like
say.
you know, in
Yeah,
A the
so like
bottom
in this
team I
case,
think it's
players and
collab.
Ents would play for the third place tiebreaker
Yeah, something like
in
that.
our bracket.
That's how it's designated here as well.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like
true,
the-
Yes.
true. In the other one, third place in Group A, third place is decided by Bujos, and they get automatic legends, and then fourth and fifth play each other for the other without legend spot.
Yeah.
But because there's only 3 legends in this one, it's the other way. It's basically like the fifth team gets automatically not eliminated, but automatically gets the challenger spot, and then third and fourth play for the legends. So it would be players and ends actually
I
playing for the
mean,
legends.
it's
You're right.
not ideal, but like when you look at
I mean,
it
I
like
hate
this,
it either way, but,
NIP
you know.
would get like a legend spot, and players and ends need to play for one. It's not ideal, I have to say, and
It's more like that one of the teams is just going to get either an automatic legend spot or an automatic challenger spot just based on something that they can't really, you know,
Yeah.
affect,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
just because they didn't go 3-0 essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
kind of
Well,
hard.
we'll see how it comes out in the wash here, but that's how we kind of have it balancing on out. And I guess there's lots of chopping and changing possible here. I, for one, believe in the Bad News Eagles, right? So I'd like
You
to
see them at the major?
I'm talking shit, mate. I don't know. I've lost all the Brazilian fans. I'm trying to get somebody on board, man. I don't
There's
know
a
if I-
lot of Albanian and Kosovo fans around the world.
See, there we go.
I'm just
See,
saying.
we'll piece it together eventually. We'll get them all back on side at some point here. Now, that is going to be, I guess, us taking a look at the RMRs. They're kicking off tomorrow. As I mentioned before, it was 13 hours. Now it's probably 12 and a half. Something along those lines. I think the games go live at 12 CET. Let's do this. Dimitri, you ready? Let's go into playtime, mate. Bang. All right, we're in playtime. We're just going to have a quick bit of a chit chat here and round off the show. Obviously, with the RMR stuff, there's a lot that's going to happen, and just take what we did there as a bit of a fun game. You can do it too. We spam the link in. We maybe even post it on social media after the fact. I have a couple of questions here.
I have one question before we start anything. There are some chatter in chat about Head Trick being on the media day from Navi
I saw
and
that, yeah.
Electronic missing out. Striker, please explain, because you are in Czech Republic and I'm in Bucharest.
Yeah, that's funny. Basically, Electronic is supposed to arrive tomorrow. So that's why he wasn't at the media day, and that's why they did pictures with Hetrick, but he's supposed to play still.
Didn't Navi tweet and say that he would be there?
I
Pretty
actually don't know
sure.
if they tweeted it, but
I'm
that's
pretty
the deal.
sure someone was linking it earlier. I saw it somewhere. I was fucking having a look. Did
Oh,
you?
yeah, about Electronic CSGO. Dennis missed RMR media day due to health reasons, but now he's fine and he will play tomorrow's match against Quasar.
There you go.
They're actually playing
Another
the first one in
false
the morning. So.
positive COVID test.
Yep. Well, probably. Yep. It's fucking crazy out here, really. Okay. Where was I? Okay. This is from a user on the forums. His name is Another Sponge Stan. I haven't read these questions, so I'm going to see what these say. If they're all to do with me, then we will just skip them. But let's go through. This is like genuine questions. He wrote a bunch. Prof, you're back on the desk. Is this something you're trying to break into? Is there a goal or event you want to attend as a commentator? Did Sponge play a role in this new adventure?
Am I trying to break into it? I think the better frame would be it is trying to break me. I think that's the sentiment I'm getting from these couple of weeks. Shout out to Blay, number one. Shout out to Pimp. Both are trying to break me in different ways. Also Banks just being huge, right? No, it's not. I'm not trying to break into it. People actually just reached out to me. I don't think Chad had anything to do with it, according to my knowledge.
Joe Miller asked if I thought you'd be any good, and I said, yeah, give him a crack.
There it is. I just got an email. Then I said, yeah, maybe. I thought it was one of those emails like, we need a backup for a backup. And I said, like, yeah, like what are you offering? And then it turned out they offered money. And they actually so I said yes, essentially. And then this is the same thing. So I'm not really trying to break out. I'm just doing shit, and maybe I do a couple more per the year. But yeah, HLTV number one, and then the rest.
Okay. Here we go. Here's the next one. No, that's the one. We'll get that one. Don't get this one. Never mind. The rest of them. We got one of them from Another Sponge Stand. Now there was a question coming in from a guy named Raphael Azamba. on Twitter, and he says, "I have a topic for a rant. Why would they schedule an Americas event starting at 5 a.m.? Most of the third games end by 7 to 9 p.m. in EET time, so why not push the starting games to later? Is CS and lunch so important in Bucharest for games to start at noon?"
That was
And
an
then he
actual
followed.
rant by our Mr. Resident Canadian here.
Well, and then it's followed up with, "I didn't want to sound entitled or anything, but the same stream had 20K at 5 a.m., then 100K viewers at around 10 a.m. Okay, let me
Reading
rephrase this.
hard.
No, well, it's written poorly, and I'm not. I don't. It just should say the question should just say that doesn't mean anything to the organizer ? But it says doesn't mean anything to the organizer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think no, as probably the resident individual who lives on the other side of the world is a bit of a pain. But what are your thoughts on this kind of a situation? I want to hear it from your perspective, and then I guess we can kind of jump in with the perspective from this side of the pond, I guess.
I think for me, it's kind of twofold. Obviously, I'm not even on the East Coast, so it's not 5 a.m. games for me. They start at 2 a.m. So
Okay.
I never catch like probably the first 2 games of the day as it is. Yeah, I mean, for a lot of ESL events, at least, games will start at 3 or 4 a.m. at least, which is kind of okay because that means I can miss the first game and wake up for the second, and that actually works out really well. Also, because ESL uses the set schedule times, like not before or whatever. Whereas the main issue I've had with PGL is not only do the matches start very early, but they've been doing a rolling schedule. And for me, that's really hard because I'll try and be up for like the second match of the day or catch the end of it, and it'll be already like 1 or 2 maps into the final series of the day at 7 or 7:30 a.m. So that is a bit of a struggle, especially when you have the Americas RMR and NA teams playing. It's almost worse than when NA teams were just scheduled to play in like the middle of the night in NA, because then you're not able to catch any of the games basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I can understand it, obviously from a viewer perspective, and regionally it doesn't help with having big numbers. But like the way that I can understand it is that it feels like a bad justification that I'm about to make, but I still kind of can see that.
I have one as well.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, obviously, it's a really high volume of matches. Like it could have been.
Yes.
Like obviously, they've been good enough at running it that they've finished almost way early. So like it wouldn't have been as bad if it was pushed maybe like a couple of hours later. But like with the amount of matches that you have to play and with the amount of time you're playing with, obviously you kind of want the RMR to finish, to not take up like a week or whatever. So to space out the matches a little bit more or just play less in a day. But like obviously, if you have this volume of matches, like you're gonna have a hard time. Fitting it into a schedule that fits America and not have to play it over 10 days or whatever. So that's just the deal. Like obviously it sucks. Like I can get behind that, and possibly there was space to move some of these games a bit later, but like either you're playing under the assumption that like the viewers are gonna have to get up super early or just like miss the matches or have the teams play late into the night, and that's always also gonna go up against the BSPPA and whoever else.
I think there's something to keep in mind, and that is there's always a balance when running a tournament and taking into account the schedule. And first of all, the amount of days that you have is fixed. Like you can't have EPL had fucking 5 weeks to play as many games probably as we're gonna play here in 2 weeks. That's like maybe I'm not super correct, but you get the point. There's a lot more games being played here. What you have to take into account, are you gonna put competitive integrity at the first at like the priority or the viewer essentially, or like how are you gonna balance these things? It's gonna be like, what they're doing here is just having the games run in a very as fast as possible so that they end as fast as possible so they don't go until 11 midnight and stuff like this. And then the players would complain that we're deciding major slots at inappropriate times, and the CSPPA would complain about this, and then everyone would complain about it being awful. It's like maybe there could be some adjustments to make it a bit better for the viewer, but I think the way PGL worked, even the last major and this one as well, it's like let's just make the players happy. Let's make the games be, there being no caveats about anything. And I think how much shit they got for the last event, which some of it warranted, a bunch of it warranted. But I think one of the things that you have to give them credit for is like matches were run on time for the most part, aside from like some technical issues that happen all the time. But like everything was super snappy. The admin team here is insane. Like there are no delays at all, minimal delays. Like
It's been
first day
very
always.
minimal tech issues.
Yeah, first
I would
like
say with the players anyway.
there's no like fill time for the analyst desk. It's like, okay, it's scheduled for 12, it's 12, 7-minute segment, it's 7 minutes, even 5 sometimes, if the game before is running, overtimes or whatever. So that it's just like a different, I think even the guy says it in the question, like it's a different approach. I think for PGL, getting the most viewers isn't the most important thing. And they don't run the event like that. They don't maximize for ad hours. They don't have mid game breaks and all of these things. So that also eats in, like that gives you like 30 minutes less per couple of matches in a day. So it's just a different approach, I think.
Yeah, I think when you take a look at it as well, you can see that well, this is something that I know has come down the pipeline from Valve to TOs in the past anyway, to do with majors, is to minimize the amount of downtime between games, to have the games come as quickly as possible. When Dinko orders food and we're doing best of ones and it takes him 4 hours to eat a piece of chicken because it would go quite literally game finish, boys, next game in 8 minutes. Within those 8 minutes, it means the game is live in 8 minutes, the next match. So we go to the bathroom, you go grab another swig of water or whatever, you walk out of the room just to take a bit of a breather. You have a nibble on something to eat, and you're like, you need it back to go again, right? And like, it's super quick. The turnaround time is fucking crazy. So I think that they're definitely fulfilling the game kind of element of all this. But it is good to see everybody. It's fantastic. And I don't know how everybody feels about this, but we have so many HUD experts in the Counter-Strike scene. I didn't realize that. I'm surprised that we don't have people applying for jobs at Valve to design HUDs. And like, it's crazy. I didn't realize that we had so many people who could design HUDs and understand the nuances and everything behind all of that. It's crazy, man.
I have
It's
to say
fucking nuts.
that one HUD that was like, oh, I'm gonna fix it so it's all consistent with like sharp edges HUD. Absolute dog shit. One of the worst things that I saw in my whole life. Literally, my eyes were bleeding after that. I'm like, it had like 1,000 upvotes. I'm shocked, and not only because I'm sitting on a PGL chair right now.
Yeah, I think that there's obviously an element of complaining for complaining's sake. There's certain things which are definitely viable to bring up and say, hey, this is a problem, or maybe like, hey, the audio's low here, or the sound quality, this is bad, or what. Like, there's obvious, if things are an actual problem, then they're an actual problem. But what people will do is, once they realize that they can get away with contributing and feeling like they're part of something, whether it's the complaining side of things or whatever it is, they're gonna do that. So I like, this is the thing. I'm like there in the room, and the guy comes up to me, goes, "Hey, Chad, how's it going? Yeah, no drama." He's like, "Yeah, so the HUD, like, what do you want us to change?" And I'm like, I don't know. I can do my fucking job off of it. So for me, the person who's looking at it probably the most intently out of everybody watching, seems pretty fucking fine to me. Like, the only thing that I fucked up is because I was sitting far away and the lights are really bright, as I couldn't see the diffuse kit the other day. Maybe the diffuse kit could be a little bit clearer.
I think they changed that. DAVEY was getting some feedback on that as well, because it's like in the wrong place. Let's say it's like by the utility instead of by the armor where it usually would be. So
Okay.
it was kind of weird. Yeah, I think like they made some small updates. Reddit probably didn't realize, but like a bunch of small updates were made after like the first couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
most
from a design wise, it seemed completely okay to me. Like when I saw it at first, I just looked at everything, like all the key details, that were missing, like at first, like at the PGL major, for example, with like some of the economy and stuff, like all the vital information is there. So like if I don't necessarily agree with some parts of the design because the color is a little bit off or whatever, like that's my subjective opinion. Like that doesn't matter.
the design choice.
I think
Yeah.
visually it's fine. Maybe
Yeah.
the colors are a little bit dark for me, but I don't think it's actually like an issue at all.
I like the PGL one. This one, the
Yeah.
Stockholm one, but this one I like a little bit less, but just because colors are slightly different and not because of utility,
Yeah.
And there was a thing about people not being able to see if it was a best of 3 or not. But it's like at the start of every round, it drops down and it says who picked what map, and there's more maps coming up. It's like, it just depends. Like, it's the same with people when they come on and they go, "Oh, You can't see on the ESL HUD, for example, what maps are coming up. But at the start of every round on the ESL HUD, the problem is that sometimes they're playing the replay, so you don't always get it, but it pops up on the top right hand side where the kill feed is, right? Like these things are there. They obviously just don't feature for one reason or another.
That person posted a screenshot of when someone was scoped in with an op where it makes that specific element disappear too. And then someone replied to them and they're like, well, if you just wait for the person to unscope, it's right there. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. But the HUD's still a problem. Like, yeah, okay, all right. Clearly you're complaining for the sake of it.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like, I guess people want some shit to do. That's cool. And then that's the thing. It keeps people busy, keeps people talking. It is what it is. All right. I'm trying to see if we have any other questions that were asked, maybe that we could answer just here in the little Twitter. There's not a whole lot in the Twitter stuff. People will just say like South American passion. It's like, well, that's not a question. That's a statement. So
you did that next.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like that we don't. There's not a whole lot here. Like that. It's basically the general sentiment. So I'll give people a chance in chat now to quickly spam some shit through. Otherwise, we're gonna close it down. We're gonna pack her up. We're gonna say goodbye to everybody and thank Note for coming. So guys, if you have any questions, now would be the time in chat. And if the question is Device gonna play the major? Ask me how long a piece of string is, because that is the. There it is. There it is. There it is. Bang, bang. We spoke about IHC a little bit earlier. We can talk about them again before the major. We didn't skip the Asian RMR,
by the way. Like in, what is it, tomorrow or some shit, like from the other tournament as well? Like in a couple of days? I don't know. You guys probably know better than me, but...
Wait, what?
When one of the Group B teams coming in, probably soon, right?
The media day is one day before they start. Just like
yeah,
here.
so they
Wednesday,
probably around 2 days,
Tuesday, Wednesday.
before. Okay, so maybe like 2 days they're going to travel, and we'll see who's going to travel.
Yeah,
but like, trust me, if Device was playing, I think they'd be fucking ringing the horns or whatever you call it. That probably not ringing the horn, but whatever.
You're ringing the bells, and
there you go.
We just have a quick request here from Vendetta. He says, I came in late. Could you please do the whole show again?
Yes.
So we will turn the stream off and start again. And Dimitri, here's one for you. Tell Dimitri he did a great job.
Yep.
So there we go. That's good. No, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being the guest of the show tonight. I don't know if you want to get any messages out there, if you want to plug anything that you're doing, if you have anything you want to say. But now would be the time.
Not particularly. Just thanks for having me. It's been fun after watching this for so long, kind of jumping on one and being able to talk with all of you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. And wait, where's Prof going?
I think somebody just knocked on his door or something.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Oh, somebody's still. Hold on, we can have a look here. What the fuck?
Oh, I thought he was just trying to.
This is Davey.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god,
it's definitely Davey. He's sitting. Wait, hold up. Oh my god, we've got a big screen right now.
I think he brought in some beverages.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Last minute guest, Davey. Davey,
I'm now a sexy Croatian man.
I want you to give your opinion, Davey, on why HLTV use the Romanian flag on every single one of their news posts, as opposed to the country that the news is about. How do you feel about this?
I'm gonna be honest. I've never thought about this before. I don't have strong opinions. If you asking me why they do it, which is what you said, I would guess it's to do with just relating all of the event posts to the same thing, so that everybody knows it's coming from the same event. That would be my guess.
Look at that! You've just made Striker a very happy man.
Makes perfect
no,
sense
I'm not
to me.
saying I agree with it. You asked me why. You just asked me why. I don't actually know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Striker cares if anybody agrees, because that's the way he's going to keep doing his shit. David, you're joining us here. You've got Note here. We've got multiple North Americans. Well, what are you here to do, mate?
Oh, nothing. I'm here to hang out with my friend Zvonimir here, and not drink alcoholic beverages.
Well, we have to be up early tomorrow.
No, yeah, that's true.
We do have the early shift, so it's in 11 hours from now.
Time every day.
Yeah, that's true. You have been on time. I can attest to that. I can attest to that.
Late.
Do you want to give your piece on EG?
Wow, right into it.
I mean, look, they are clearly struggling right now. I think that's obvious. I expected them to make it through. I expected them to finish in the top 6. So I was disappointed when they didn't. However, 9Z came into this performing not very great, and they ended up performing very well. That you can't take anything away from that 5-2 run they ended up going on. So sometimes on LAN a team hits a heater and you just take the L. That's like sometimes that just happens. That's just the way it is, honestly.
Okay, no.
We actually referenced Davy's team a while ago when we were talking about the Mongolians, because they
Oh,
actually
were you?
went
Oh,
because you guys
big
got
machine gun,
invited
yeah?
based on them not making it through, right? At some point.
Yeah, they couldn't get their visas, and that's
MLG
why we
Columbus,
ended up
right?
going.
That's his
Yeah,
place. Yeah.
yeah, that's why we went to the qualies to begin with, is because they couldn't get their visas.
Back in
Yep.
2016.
Also, I didn't know Ethon was going to be here. What's up, bud?
I was gonna say Chad mentioned North American representation, but apparently you're UK now, so I feel like
Well, listen, I've
you've
told you you
disowned
should
us.
change the flag because it'd be funny, and you won't do it.
Oh
He
dear.
wanted me to commit sins to HLTV's coverage side of the site. Striker, are you?
But
hearing
he got
this?
both
Because-
passports, right?
I do, yeah.
So technically, he could have the British
But
flag.
Ethon said that because I played for
dear.
Team Canada, they wouldn't
mean, that's-
change the flag.
It's,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
that's
a
kind of like
valid-
how he decided usually. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, no,
dear.
I get it. I'm just saying it's a lot less funny. That's all I'm saying.
I'll agree with that.
It's a lot less funny. I'm gonna let Zvonimir finish off the show. I'm gonna sit off over on the sidelines here while
Alright.
he finishes it.
Well, I'm just going to close it down. So you
See ya,
guys can go
Davey.
and start socializing right now. All
we
right.
go.
So that's the show. We've had an impromptu visit from Davey. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you again to Note for being our guest this evening and helping us talk through what is North American Counter-Strike in the Americas region. Tomorrow, kicking off at 12 CET sharp, we do have the Group A, which is going to be a banger of a group. Make sure you don't miss it. Make sure you tune in. And as we've been talking about, it's an accelerated schedule. So if you're thinking you're planning, you're going to watch a game in the afternoon, it might be a little bit earlier. Don't miss a piece of action. And thank you to Dimitri for producing a banger of a show. Peace out, A-Town, West Side. See you next time. Good night.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets guaranteed.
Stuck ranking up? Lost the motivation to grind? Bored of clicking heads on aim maps? Get some color into your game. Bitskins.com. Buying and selling skins made easy. Tons of payment methods and instant cash outs. Just choose your dream skins, select your preferred payment method, and start grinding again. If you want to play like the pros, you gotta look like the pros.